Man, it's so much information. It just make your head swell. But he's a knowledgeable man. Anyway, I'm saying that to say he's another one that came out of TSU. He's a professor at Howell now.
Okay.
He's a little bit older than me, so I think when I came in my freshman, he was either senior or graduated. Like he just graduated. So
Sounds good.
yep. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Question, if you don't mind me asking, you said your chest was hurting you. Why do you take a Prilosec?
We're live too, y'all. Let me just let y'all know we live now.
Oh,
No, y'all can still. It's okay. We can still wait on people, but I just want
it's for acid reflux.
Okay, let me help you out with two things. I'm into herb. I'm a herbalist. Well, I'm not an herbalist, but I'm into herbs. Natural reflux blockers: pineapple, fresh pineapple, and celery.
I hate both of those.
You like my nephew, my niece's husband, he don't like it. I'm like, man, you know, my mom literally stopped taking.
You know what? I'm weird. I have never liked pineapples. Not even as a kid. I don't like grapes. I don't like the melon. I'll eat watermelon, but like the honeydew and the.
Yeah. Is it the texture?
For pineapple, it's just the taste. Grapes, I don't like the skin on the grapes.
Yeah.
And then the honeydews and all of it, that's just kind of bland. I don't know.
Right.
Let me just let everybody know where we are real quick. We are currently, first of all, welcome you all to our Kwanzaa discussion on tonight. I see several people coming in, and I can't quite see who you are yet, but I just want you to know that we know that you're there.
Let me pull up the chat.
We're still waiting on a few people to join us at on this first round, because as I told you earlier, if you watched anything that I did on YouTube earlier, we are doing something a little different tonight. Tonight we are actually going to, observe Kwanzaa, in our own little way, virtually observe Kwanzaa, as well as talk about, hey, what's going on? Clarence Hogan is in the house for sure. I can see his name. D Brown or Danielle's in the house, and they're both going to Soggy Paws. Hey, what's going on? Soggy Paws is in the house tonight. We're going to observe Kwanzaa in our own way, virtually, and we're calling this show Kwanzaa 365. It ain't just lip service, because we're going to talk about what we are doing or what we do to carry the principles of Kwanzaa into the new year. So there are quite a few people lined up tonight, and they are coming in one by one, but they're lined up to tackle each Kwanzaa principle. And just kind of, open up a discussion about what we can, how we can handle that, or how we can apply these Kwanzaa principles to our lives going into 21. Because as you all know, if we didn't learn anything in 20, one thing we should have learned that is that we should plan as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Because nobody was prepared for this right here.
Right.
Nobody was prepared for that. So I see Cori as well, and Cori is, I believe, on the first round as well. So I'm going to add Cori to the stream. Hello, Miss Cori. Hello.
Let me move myself there. Hi.
So
Tracy from Cincinnati.
How are you, Cori?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I like that wrap.
Thank you.
That is pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that color.
So this is what I'd like you all to do going to start out. Please share the stream on one of your social media pages if you can, because we like to get as many people as possible in this conversation, because it is a conversation not as much about entertainment as it is about literally trying to do something constructive with our with going forward as we kind of look toward the new year. Okay. Whoever else is in the chat that we cannot see, please announce yourself, even if you don't give us your real name. Give us your alias,
incognito name.
Your incognito name. We'd love to know that you were in the house. So currently, let's see. Let me look at my list real. Oh, I see another person coming in, and that is Sonny. So welcome, Sonny, to the stream.
What's up, ladies? What up, D?
What up, man?
We are looking at. I wish I should have told you all to sign in with your Kwanzaa principle, but that's okay. That's okay.
I could have did that. My bad. Is there any way we could do it?
No. I didn't think about it though.
Yeah, you can do it, but you can edit your name.
Can you do it while you stay on?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it. You can?
Yep. Hold on. What's my name?
I'm on my phone.
Oh yeah.
Where'd
Well,
y'all
you may not
go?
be able to. Where I'm looking at, I can see a picture of mine, and then there's like the three little dots in the corner by the microphone.
Yeah.
If you click on that, then it says edit name, edit avatar, stop mic or cam.
You see all that, huh?
I think I did mine.
Look in the upper right hand corner.
Mm-mm.
If you don't see it, don't worry. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. You gonna tell us when
I
you
don't see
talk.
it.
Do y'all see me? I done did something. See, playing, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, don't. Okay, just stay where you at. Stay
We see you. We see your eye.
Right.
Whoa.
That stuff.
Stay right where you at. Leave it like it is. Okay, I see a couple private chats. Let me see that.
Wait
Okay.
a minute. Why everybody got on head wraps except for
Because
me?
we fancy and everybody is just me and Vicky.
No,
Sonny, please don't hate.
Head wrap and no,
Sonny.
me and Tracy ain't got one on. Okay.
Sonny.
Hey, man, I got coffee here, bro.
Don't get him
Sonny,
started.
please.
Don't
Don't
get him
start off
started.
like this.
I'm just saying I could have put on a Kango or something if I
Go
was.
ahead, we'll wait.
No, it's cool. Y'all tell y'all do it. Tracy, you got a Kango over there you can put on?
Hold on, I figured out how to change my name.
Hey. All
This
right.
is outrageous. Now I'm about to be jealous. Wait a minute now.
Awesome. I see Sonny Umoja.
This is ridiculous. I'm a grown up. There we go. Bam. Edit name.
See now, now y'all gonna have me. See now I'm gonna feel all left out.
Don't feel left out. I'll tell you how. Do you see yourself in the bottom left hand corner? Look at the picture of yourself. An additional picture of yourself in the bottom left hand corner. Because it wasn't there initially for me.
If you don't worry. We're gonna keep on moving. But if you see it, you can.
It's a little square next to the blue strip.
Oh yeah, Cori is Ujima. Tracy is Kuchichagulia. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you say that, Vicky, because I can't say it. I've been practicing all day.
Tracy, you so can.
All right, so here we go. D said not the Kango. No, not the Kango. So here we go. I know everybody on this feed that I'm looking at, and at least in the stream, with the exception of Tracy, with the exception of Tracy and Danelle. So both of you have not been to the Kwanzaa, the Touray Friends and Family Kwanzaa celebration. But have you gone to a Kwanzaa celebration at all?
No, but I've seen yours. I think did you do it live one time or it was recorded? So I sort of went.
There we go.
I love Tracy's special.
You was in the house one way or another.
I was in the house.
I had somebody go along. It was Therese Teasley, as a matter of fact. She kind of went around and used my Facebook page one year, which was great. But we are definitely gonna plan on having somebody committed to that for the entire time next time. But that's beyond the point. So I was saying earlier that the pandemic has been a blessing and a curse for us. We can talk about many ways that it's been a curse. I don't think we have to. Y'all know how that is. But one reason or one way that I think it's been a blessing for us is I know that I've connected with people online that I would not have if I was not relegated to my house, because I think that we always kind of plan as if there's going to be a tomorrow. So when it comes to people, especially those who are not in our local vicinity, we often say, oh, let's plan to get together next year. Or maybe we'll go on a cruise, or maybe we'll do da. That may or may not happen. And oftentimes it does not happen. We just kind of talk about it and then life continues and it doesn't happen.
Right.
But with the pandemic, it's been a little different because I don't know if because we've lost so many people. Or I'm not sure, but I know that I'm doing a lot more face-to-face virtually with people that I would not have seen more often now. And so in that way, it's been a blessing, right? That way it's been a blessing. So I'm saying all that to say, it gives us an opportunity to share Kwanzaa with all kinds of people, not just those who can be in our physical presence. And that's a blessing in itself. So to get started, I thought that maybe I would like to. We normally have presentations. The kids typically do presentations at our events, and then the kids open up and do the welcome and all of that. So I don't really have them involved, but I do have a couple pieces that I pull. So if you all don't mind, I want to open up with something that I've pulled from I hear somebody's I think it's radio or TV.
Girl, it's probably me because I got that person. Hold on.
I was gonna say perhaps we should mute when we're not talking. Perhaps we should mute when we're not talking.
Got you. All right, so here we go. I just got that message, Tracy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So here we go. So here I'm gonna open this with, and I'm not sure what everyone's religious beliefs are, but let me just say this first if you don't know. Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It is a secular holiday, really. It was a holiday that was created so that regardless of what your religious faith might be, that Black people could come together in a community and still celebrate certain principles, regardless of what your religious desire was, or your religious designation is, or resignation is, or designation is, or whatever it is. So let me open with this. Somebody's coming. Tracy, she always run away from home and then come back. There she go. Hey,
My
Tracy.
phone fell. I'm sorry.
I said you always run away from home, but you always come back. Bless her heart. Okay, so I'm gonna open with this, and hopefully it doesn't offend anybody. But let me just say this before I do. I want you to know that if, for instance, you are a believer in Jesus Christ, I don't know if you ever looked at Jesus Christ as an ancestor or not. But if you're supposed to be a part of his family, or we're supposed to be a part of his family, and he has died and moved on, made a transition, that will make him an ancestor. I'm just saying. All right. So this is from Elder Ray Higgins. Anybody know who that is?
That don't sound familiar.
Okay, so Elder Ray Higgins is a minister out of the African Village out of St. Louis. So they open their service every Sunday, or every service they have, with this, and I think it's befitting for tonight on our open. So it says, "Oh ancestors, blacker than 1,000 nights, African ancestors, it is to you that we, your children, give respect and honor tonight. Oh ancestors, we call upon you and welcome you in this place. Our ancestors, let your presence fill this place, oh ancestors. Ancestors who have been purposely excluded from the history books so that the world would not know of your greatness. Our African ancestors who gave civilization to the world. Our African ancestors who gave the arts to the world. Our African ancestors who gave music to the world. Our African ancestors who gave the sciences to the world. Our African ancestors who gave the mathematics to the world. Our African ancestors who gave medicine to the world. Our African ancestors who gave literature to the world. Our African ancestors who gave philosophy to the world. Our African ancestors who gave God consciousness to this world. Oh, ancestors, we thank you for devoting your life to make a future for us, your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. Now, stand with us, strengthen us, guide us, teach us, and protect us from the snare of our enemies. Rise up, O African ancestors, and let our enemies be scattered, and give us the wisdom and the boldness to deal with our oppressors and those who would hinder the liberation and the empowerment of our people. Rise up, O African ancestors, and live in us, and we will not fail to honor you. We will not fail to respect you. We will not fail to hear you, and we will not betray you. Ashe, ashe, ashe. No matter what.
Muting now.
No matter what. Okay, I love it. All right, so what we have so far, and I think oh no, I thought we lost an arrow, but I guess we did not. Let me see. Anything in the chat? Nothing in the chat necessarily. So we will begin our discussion of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So the first principle of Kwanzaa is Umoja, which means unity. And Sonny has agreed to come and kind of lead a discussion and talk a little bit about that tonight. So I'm just going to give him the floor. Each person is going to take right about 10 to 15 minutes to do what they do. And so you all just listen up. Sonny, you got it.
But I do. I'm coming along. Okay, here I am now. Woo!
That's
I was
you.
looking for something. Welcome, everybody. It's weird when you're talking to people and you can't hear them, but at least I can see y'all. I just want to reiterate what Vicky said about, people think that Kwanzaa is some kind of mystical African holiday that's anti-Christian or something like that. But it's so many concepts that we are practicing during the 7 days of Kwanzaa that not only underline the Christian belief, but they endorse it. And so the part I'm going to talk about today is Umoja. I did bring a picture, but I don't really know how to share it. And I do have a quote that I'm going to share. But I'm going to do this quote real quick. I got to jump off the screen real quick just so I can read it because I didn't get my PowerPoint. I'm a teacher by nature, so I had a PowerPoint for y'all. I was ready. I got homework, Cori, so I hope you're ready for that homework. Don't trip.
Cori said the devil is a lie.
Yeah. No. I can't find here we go. So struggle without unity enables the other side to pick us off one by one. And that's kind of like the framework in which I want to do my little discussion on unity today. Thank you, Vicky, for opening this up. And again, if you have not been at a Kwanzaa event, you have really, really missed it. We have a great time.
Yeah.
Song, dance, oration, eating. I mean, just the whole, everything Black folk do. We do it in that space and in that time, and it is a wonderful thing. But I think as we move forward, we need to look back at these principles constantly, right? And unity. I'm glad they started off with unity because unity is so, so important. And like the quote, this is how people come against and work the work they do on Black people, right? Because Black people who light-skinned can't work with Black people that's dark-skinned, and Black men can't work with Black women, and older people can't work with young people, and people from the West Side don't get down with people from the South Side. With all these isms and schisms, it keeps us limited, and they can come and pick us off and do whatever. I know we think that if we get power and if we get money, that we're going to be able to deal with systemic and structural racism, but historically, that's proven not to be true. The only way we even have a chance of dealing with some of these issues is unified. And I'm not even talking about all of us unifying. I'm not talking about every Black person in the world being on the same thing. Black people not monolithic. Some Black people benefited from slavery. They made money. They owned slaves. Some people were slaves and refused to run. They saw that as like rebellion. And if all of us didn't unify during slavery, I'm not sure how we think we're going to unify just because of Trump, even though it seemed like this was probably one of the most horrible years that we've seen in a long time. So I'm not talking about the whole race coming together. I'm talking about like we see here, a coalition, a remnant, a small group, a group of people with like minds and like ideas who decide, okay, you Muslim, I'm African, you live on the West Side, I live on the South Side. But on this particular topic, police brutality, right? Sex trafficking, right? Bad schools. We're going to come together. We're going to deal with that. The other stuff, we want you to use those things, bring it to the table, but we want to use it to move the agenda forward. And so I'm just going to talk about 4 small events. We can look back. These concepts are Swahili term. And another Swahili term is Sankofa. Sankofa means to return and pick it up and to learn from it. Some of the ways in which we can maneuver our way out of the situation, we got to go back in our past. Can you imagine of us dealing with all the stuff we dealt with in 2020? And it's legal. It's legal for people to rape Black women. It's legal to people to come into your house and take your son. What you going to do? You have no recourse. And I'm just saying, if we can maneuver our way out of that, then I think that if we can do it here. But it does take some solidifying, some putting down some egos, some having a bunch of people. Everybody can't be the chief. Some people got to be Indians. And the first example I want to look at historically, I'm going to do a couple Sankofa moments with us. Watch me on my time, Vicky. Is the Pullman Porter situation that took place I don't know the dates of time, but we know A. Philip Randolph was involved. A. Philip Randolph was very involved in the March on Washington. He also planned the March on Washington before the one we know that King did, right? But A. Philip Randolph was not a porter at all. He was a writer, right? But he got involved and solidified a group of Pullman porters to come together and created a union that still exists to today for the most part. All right.
So, Sonny, I think you should probably tell us a little bit about what a Pullman porter is.
Thank you. Okay. So we know in a certain day and time, the predominant way to move around from state to state was trains. And there was a guy, his name was, I don't know if his name was Pullman. I think he was. He invented these little cars, these little box cars. And so there were people who worked on these cars, black and white, and they were called Pullman porters. The porters were basically the ones to help you with your luggage. That also, some of these trains serve food you slept in overnight. And of course, like anything else in America, there was division between black and white porters because black porters were getting treated in a certain way and white porters weren't. And they would try to buff the system individually. And they realized that they couldn't. They brought in A. Philip Randolph because he had unionized another group prior, and they worked with him, and he created a union of black porters, probably in the 20s. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I'm sorry. Can I just say something real quick? I think a good visual example of that. Dee said that her granddad was a Pullman porter.
Who is that? Who is Dee?
Danielle.
Really? Okay.
I think a good visual example of that is from the Malcolm X movie. He was a Pullman porter. Remember that?
Yep, he sure was. He was a porter, right?
That's why he had the ability to move around like he was moving around.
There's a movie out called 10,000 Men Named George. What they did when the people got up on the train, and black people probably didn't have the aptitude or the finances to do a lot of traveling, but white people did. Instead of them memorizing, oh, his name is Mike, his name is Larry, they call all the black porters George. Whether that was your name or not. Everybody, hey, George, help me with this. Hey, George, help me with this. So it's a movie in which it depicts how the Pullman porters came together and fought and created a union. Now, all of them wasn't on that. They was like, nah, dude, we ain't trying to cause no trouble. There was a Judas in the mix that went and snitched and told. Somebody ended up losing their life. They jumped on some people, right? So people don't concede power. You can't buy it. You know, again, money and power not going to get us out of this, especially not individualized power. That's basically a white concept, right? African people don't see themselves as individuals. They see themselves as a part of a group. It's called Ubuntu. I am because you are. And so it's to individualize ourselves and say, well, I'm just going to be rich. And I'm just going to get out of ghetto. I'm going to get rich or die trying. That's not even African. That's not even black. That don't mean we can't do it because we've done it, right? We also saw the same thing during the Montgomery bus boycott, right? We saw King got very involved in the Montgomery bus boycott. By the way, King owned a car. So what are you doing on the bus boycott? Right? Just like Randolph was not a porter. And in the movie, it's a scene that is so powerful. Porter is A. Philip Randolph's wife is begging him to stop because white people pull out the tricks that they always do. They threaten her business. They threaten people physically. They jump on some porters, right? Whenever we start unifying, it's this opposition that comes. This lady owned a salon, and now they putting out literature about her salon that she was a communist. Most of us didn't know what no communist was. It's like we don't know what a socialist is, but that Trump will say we're a socialist, and that's supposed to mean something bad, and we backing up from it. But anyway, she told her husband, she wanted him to stop this because it was affecting them personally. And he told her I couldn't. He said, I can't. I'm sorry that this is going to hurt you. And it was hurting her. Her business ended up closing down. Somebody firebombed it. He was like, I wish that I could turn away from this, but I can't, And it's those kind of leaders that we need. But Montgomery bus boycott again. You look at the movie, what's it called? The one with Kurt Franklin did the soundtrack, Boycott. Very good movie. Give you a lot of information, show you how strategic these movements were. Wasn't no random fly by night. They had people set up to bail people out of jail. We know what's up. The moment you speak up against white people, there's a couple things they're gonna do. They're gonna either threaten you physically, or they're gonna threaten your reputation. Right? Oh, he a clown, or she in the witchcraft, or something like that, or they cut up on them, right? And so they was prepared for that. Right? Had cars available so that people could use their own cars to taxi people around. And they did it for over a year until the bus system came to them to negotiate. So that's politics, by the way. You have to run for office to be involved in politics, right? They got involved in politics even though they couldn't vote. Voting is not the only way to be involved in the democratic process, because we got the right to vote when we couldn't vote. So voting couldn't be the only way to be involved, right? And one of the ways to do it is be this collaborative action that Umoja, they'll be talking about, this unity where one person not going to do it. Well, all of us are going to do it, even though some of us may not necessarily want to walk to work for 366 days. But what I don't want is to keep having to pay my money, walk to the front, turn around, go out the back front door, go out. I'm tired of that. Right? You being Jewish, you living on the west side, that don't got nothing to do with that. I'm tired of this. And they was attacking the system, not each other. Again, that's a trick they're going to play. Are y'all working with De Niro? Y'all know De Niro is a part of the And then
crazy horse.
Okie doke. Crazy. He crazy, exactly. Right? And then people don't want to work with you. Again, we really got to study these systems to make sure we can understand how, if we are ever going to even make a dent in this, these games ain't changed. These systems ain't changed. It's the same okie doke over and over and over again. And for the most part, we fall for it. One, because some of us benefit from it. Let's just be honest. And a lot of us is fearful, and we should be, because one of the prices of freedom is death. And we have to be honest with ourselves that the power structure is willing to imprison us for life or kill us if that's what it means. We got political prisoners still in jail from the 70s.
Yeah.
When governor, my time up?
You got about maybe 3 minutes. And then,
okay. Last one I'm gonna bring up is the slave revolts. Slave revolts is always a group of people. And one of my favorite movies, Underground, the guy the movie starts with this guy being brought back. He had ran away. And he realized, he told us, the girl who became his love interest later on, I learned something when I ran away. And that is, I can't do it by myself. I cannot run. Now, it seemed like something like running would be easier to do alone as opposed to with 10 people. But his belief was, I can't do this by myself. It has to be more than just me. Right? And again, I'm not talking, he didn't get everybody he had to select people. I don't know if anybody ever seen that series. It is phenomenal. It's really not about slavery. It's actually about rebellion. But it is a beautiful series. And I think, again, we need to take a Sankofa moment. These things have happened in our history. This upcoming year, we need to look at from the people we can establish a relationship with, where we can move forward with plans and how we can unite, how we can work together, how we can actually make that principle come alive. And it happens in small and subtle ways, like what we're seeing right here tonight. The last thing I'm going to say, we cannot believe the hype that black people don't get along, black people don't. All races and groups have problems. It ain't just black folk, right? And so that every black folk ain't on this land tonight agreeing with us, the freedom is liberation, what we need. It's not a distractor from that's what we need. Some people ain't coming, some people ain't going, they not on that. That's cool. It's best to know who those people are, so you won't divulge your plan. Most of these things go awry when Negroes who they think is down with them is not down with them. You don't know me, check the Black Panthers. They could not get rid of the Black Panthers. They had to implode them, not explode them. So they sent to be a part of the Panthers to stir up a bunch of mess, black people that look like them, black people who wasn't on that, and blew up that unity. So Umoja is the way. I'm glad it starts off Kwanzaa. It is so important. And again, I'm not talking about 3 million black people marching together, uniting. I'm talking about these 5 black people here deciding to move forward on an ideal, a principle that we can work on. I think we all can do that collectively.
Sonny, I'm thinking, there are several things. I'm gonna pull two main things from what you said and just kind of make sure that kind of sinks in. But before I say that, I thought about something when you talked about, and I mentioned a little bit too in earlier, but I'm talking about the different reasons that we are separated and divided in factions. Well, I'm Baptist. You're Methodist. I'm light skinned and you dark skinned, and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought when you were talking, I thought about what's interesting to me is that oftentimes we don't think critically enough, or we haven't thought critically enough to see the bullshit, to see the fact that we let a zillion things separate us, and all of those things that make us that we could say make us different. They see the same thing in the white community, but they don't let us stop them working together.
Yeah.
The same stuff. They don't have any more differences. I mean, minute differences than we do. They are the same. There are some that are Baptist. There are some are Presbyterian. There are some that are Catholic. But when it comes down to taking care of business, and when it comes down to, I'm thinking about the Wiz. When it comes down to running our business, they don't let none of that shit get in the way of them running their business. But we don't realize that we have been for so long. We've been taking the okie doke. We've been drinking the Kool-Aid and letting all of those minute things separate us from the most important thing, So I just want to put that out there. I just want to, going forward, moving into 2021. If you haven't thought about it, a lot of times people say to me, well, they don't realize, well, I get a lot of people say to me, sometimes I think you prejudiced. You think I'm prejudiced because I speak and talk about gaining power for Black people at all times, right? So, and I'll often answer by saying, I'm not prejudiced. I'm a cultural preservationist, right? That's what I am.
I like that.
I preserve my culture, and I don't care, what anybody thinks about that, because they're preserving theirs too. They just don't have the string say it out loud because it's already protected. But my shit ain't protected. And since it ain't protected, then I am on a mission to make sure that it's protected, period. So that's where I am with that. But
let me just say one thing about that. Whiteness is so pervasive that we need to, even in these conversations, we need to even bring up white folk, because the mess that they do, if we continue to see the world through their lenses, we're going to end up doing the same thing they do, right?
Yeah.
But I do believe the model that we need, we may not have within education, within church
without the regular or the traditional.
Exactly, because those systems come out of whiteness, and they so married. Christianity is so married to what it means to be white. Liberation can't even be talked about in the Christian context, because that means you're going against white people. Education can't be liberating because it's going against white people. So the whiteness is so pervasive, even in us. We need a detox. We addicted to whiteness. We need a detox. And until we do that, we
brother said a
detox about liberation, because we need to get that out of our system. We keep looking at white people as these people don't have no moral high ground to stand on. They are not the example we should be using to say, look, no. They
or the standard.
Or no standard at all. Now, I'm not saying all white people is bad. I just want to put that out there. But I am saying the systems in which they created to protect whiteness, if we just do that, then we doing the same thing. And that is the okie doke. And we thinking that we got freedom. In actuality, what we did is we became away from being a slave to being the master. So, and ain't no freedom in that either.
Absolutely. Okay, two things I want to take from you. Tell me if this is okay. I want to make sure that everybody get this. If somebody sent me a text, I just got a crush on Sonny. You talking good tonight, brother. You talking good tonight. All right. So two things I want to give you as a takeaway. This is from Umoja, from Sonny, right? So the first thing I want to take away is, can you expound again? Just give us a little bit about Sankofa. What does Sankofa mean? Give me that very clearly and concisely.
Okay, Sankofa is a West African term that means to return and pick it up. It's also a symbol. Remember, a lot of cultures did not use written language. They used pictures, or what we know as hieroglyphics. So when you see the Sankofa bird, he always looking backwards. You got to look back to go forward. Some of the answers to our questions lie in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what we need to do is Sankofa or go to the past, whether that means study or ask our ancestors or ask our mom and them, how did we maneuver? Because it's been worse than this. I know this seems like this is bad, but it's been much, much worse than this. So how we get from that to now we're here? Our ancestors understood some things, not all of them. Everybody wasn't on this, but we need to understand our history to think we this ain't the first time we unite. This ain't the first time black boys been getting killed. Scott Bearer's boys, Tuskegee. This is not new. And so what we need to do is go back to our past, return and pick it up, and find out information and study about our past so we can move forward in our future.
I love that. Because oftentimes, Sonny, I do, and especially when you think about this upcoming generation or this current, the millennials and and beyond, right? A lot of times they don't think anything behind, 10 minutes ago is important, and they don't realize how if you don't know the history, you'll keep returning to it. They don't realize that because here is something that they told us forever, ever, and a day. Y'all can speak on this. I know you've heard it. Nothing is new under the sun. The Bible says nothing new, and that's the truth. I know it now at 51. I didn't know it or believe it at 22, but I know now that nothing new is under the sun. Because when my baby coming down there talking about he want a high top fade. I'm like, really though, a high top fade, huh? A box cut? That's what you want, Or my little girl, she got to think about, she loved bell bottoms. I remember when I thought bell bottom was fly when they returned again after I was 7. There is nothing new under the sun. If there really isn't, it don't stop at clothing. So I had a Sankofa earring. I had 2, and of course I lost one. I was trying to snatch it so you could see it, but it is a bird who is usually like in a circle, and the bird is looking back like this over his shoulder. So that's a good piece. The other piece I want to make sure that we keep, and listen, you all who are in the chat, any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and put them in the chat. We will just we'll attack them as you put them in there. But the other piece that I want to make sure that you all get from Sonny, and I'm getting from Sonny, is that we got to study the game. That we have to study the game. That if we are not, and what I pull from it is, if we are not thinking critically, if we're not thinking open-mindedly, then again, history can repeat itself in the way that we have been we've been ran on. That's the bottom line. So 2 things: Sankofa and study the game of the oppressor. Know the game of the oppressor. Know it before he hit.
Yeah, and like Cori just added, if you ain't willing to give up something for this, you need to go somewhere and sit down. White people not giving up power because we nice. White people not giving up power because we embarrass them. People not giving up millions. People got generational wealth. They say, and since the pandemic, some people have made billions and trillions of dollars since the pandemic. Ain't even been a year. They not giving up that wealth because, my daughter, because we holding up a sign, my son want to live too. They have shown us time and time again. I don't care about that. I don't care about you or your son. I don't care about your future or your past.
That's right.
And if we keep trying to play on people's emotions, we're going to keep running the same little okie doke. Somebody going to have to die. Somebody going to have to go to jail. And if we're not willing to sacrifice, we need to shut up.
Sonny, it's kind of like it reminds me of, and I'm sure I don't know nothing about no brother. All I can talk about is women, because that's what I am, a woman. But I know many women can attest to this, where you've been in a relationship where this guy ain't really feeling you like you maybe feeling him, right? Maybe he did at one time, but sometimes you come to a point where you just kind of know it's not, he's just not really, he's not as feeling as he used to be. He's not as accommodating as he used to be. So he'll get rude, right? This is where I see our relationship with white people oftentimes, and those who are oppressive. So he's not really very nice anymore. So what'll happen is you'll have those arguments. You get into arguments, get into little fights or whatever, and you'll start saying, things to make him understand how he made you feel, right? So you might say, well, I don't like when, because when you did that, you know, I felt certain this, that, blah, 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 blah. In the beginning, that shit might have meant something. You know, he listening to you, he's like, oh, wow, wow. Eventually he'll make changes. But when his heart is turned from you, you can say it all you want to say, and it's going in this ear and out the other. And you think that because you poured your heart out, that
That's
he's going to change his
ammunition.
behavior. Say it
That's
again.
ammunition. That's ammunition for him.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't like that? Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now the next thing he do is going to be exactly the same thing you just told him not to do, because what you just did was show him your card, show him your hand. That's what I'm talking about. He's the same okie doke. You know, I feel unsafe. Oh, I feel threatened. Oh, okay. So what are they going to do? Make us feel unsafe and threatened.
That's right. That's right. That's good, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. Y'all give it up for Sonny. That's good stuff, man.
Good stuff.
That's good stuff. That was Umoja. So, for those of you who may be coming in a little late, I see a private chat. Let me check it out real quick. Make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. So, make sure that you share your feed, and we are going to move in to someone else very quickly. I just shared on Facebook. If you all could share on Facebook, if you know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, if you have an additional device like I have my phone in my hand, then you can literally go to YouTube where it is live and just share. Oh, that's me talking loud. All right. So you could just go to YouTube and share it to, whatever platform you use. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Meanwhile, anybody want to say anything? Any questions, any comments you want to speak on that before we move on to the next one?
I'm just going to incorporate a lot of what he said into what I'm saying. I mean, it's beautiful. So, like, I'll incorporate some of the points, maybe some reiterations, but no, not me for me.
Okay. Anybody else on the panel want to speak to that before we move on? All right. So then we will move on. Let me go to. Let me check one more thing before we move out. All right, so next on the docket, we will go with Kujichagulia. So Kujichagulia is going to be handled by Tracy from Cincinnati. Tracy from Cincinnati, how you doing, boo?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having
Tracy.
me again.
I appreciate you. You can take it away, baby.
Okay, since you've said that 2 times, I'm going to say that it means self-determination. And I don't know how I'm going to just come behind Sonny. My God, I mean, but I will say that my presentation is a little bit different. So when talking about, and I wrote mine down, so y'all bear with me because I didn't want to forget anything that I had to say. But in talking about self-determination, in order to reach any goal, you must have self-determination. Other people can push you towards your goal, but if you're not self-motivated, if you're not self-driven, if you're not determined, it's harder to reach the goal because you feel like you're being made to do something. But if you want something bad enough, that self-determination will push you to work harder. We have to realize that we may have failures or setbacks also along the way. And that's okay, as long as we learn from them, right? So people often want to be defined by their success, but what is it all worth without any self-determination? You know, sometimes people may piggyback on your dream just to get there faster, but if you're not self-determined, it's all for nothing. So what I want to do is I want to give you 2 poems that you all have probably heard somewhere along the way in life that will show you the importance of having self-determination. And the first one that I want to share is Don't Quit. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Okay. When things go wrong, as sometimes they will, when the road you're trudging all seems uphill, when your funds are low and the debts are high, when you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but just don't quit. Life is queer. Life is queer with twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learn. And many failure turns about when he might have won. When he might have won, he had stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to the faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late when he might have slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may seem near when it seems so, it may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. And that always stuck with me. I never learned it because it was so long, but I always knew that poem was there. And basically it's just telling me that if you have that self-determination and you just keep going, you keep striving, you keep pushing, you'll get there. And that's one of the poems that I always hung on to. And then the next one is called The Road to Success is Not Straight. There is a curve called failure, a loop called confusion, speed bumps called friends, red lights called enemies, caution lights called family. You will have flat tires that will be called jobs. You will have if you have a spare called determination and an engine called perseverance and a driver called Jesus, you will make it to that place of success. So my thing is I tell people, walk boldly every day. You can do whatever your mind is set to as long as you have determination. And I think that, looking back over hundreds of years of our culture, we have always had some sort of self-determination. I mean, here it is 2020, and we are screaming as Black Lives Matter. We want to be heard. We're demanding to be heard. We are determined to be heard. And I just think that, it may seem like we've come a long way. And on the other hand, it may seem like we still have a long way to go, but Black people as a whole are still pushing toward the mark to get where they need to get on this long road to wherever we're going to be going.
So Tracy, do you think you said that Black people are still pretty much on this journey to somewhere, right?
It's a fight every day. I mean, it's a fight to be Black every day, but we can't give up. We have to still have that determination to get where we want to go. And we all may not want to get to the same place, but individually, you still have to have some sort of self-determination and set goals to get where you want to be.
Do you think that there is, if you could give a general location or a general destination that Black people want to go? I mean, I know that's broad, but if you could say for the most part, what Black people want is this, what would
To be
you?
equal. To be equal. To not be less than. To not be viewed as subpar. To be equal with their counterparts. I don't think it's just white people either. I think you have some other races who are now trying to equate themselves as white. They check that other box, and some of them think that they're better than Black people. They don't think we're equal.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so if you had to say, anybody want to speak to that before I ask Tracy another question? Tracy, the reason that I gave you, or I asked you to do self-determination, is because, for those of you who don't know, I met Tracy in undergrad. She was the first person that I met at Wilberforce University, and probably the one that I talked to the most. with the exception of maybe one more, who was also a roommate of mine. But Tracy wasn't first my roommate. She was the first person that I met at Wilberforce. But what I do know about Tracy is that when she sets her mind to do something, she does it, right? Back hook or crook. So
For
that
sure.
was one reason I thought about that. And I do think, and she can expound on this, but I do think that one of her primary reasons for being so stable, I think was her mom, I think. Would you say that, Tracy?
Yeah, well, it depends on how you define stable, but I know what your question is asking. My mom was a single parent. My dad left when I was 3, and she raised my sister and I alone. And there was no hiding watching the struggle. You know, one day we would be good. The next day, the electricity might be off. But my mother kept going. You know, she wasn't one to ask for handouts. She was very proud.
I could tell that.
So, she just made it work. I mean, if we had to get up and eat grilled cheese sandwiches, it was a gourmet meal, and that's what we believed. You know, but for me, as it relates to this pandemic, God showed me what I could do, and I didn't know that I was going to do it. I think at the beginning of the year, or at the end of 2019, I was praying, and I was like, God, I just want to be debt free. You know, I just want to pay everything off. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. You know, I don't have a stack of cash sitting up in my room somewhere. But when the pandemic hit and they told us at our job that we were going to be working from home, God showed me, you're not paying for gas, you're not paying for lunch, you're not paying for this, you're not paying for that. Start putting that on all those bills. And I'm proud to say, because of that self-determination, I paid everything off on my credit report in November. And I was just, I'm still amazed at how, and I know it's nobody but God, because I'm like, I didn't know that I had that much money that I could that I was spending there that I could put here. So, you know, and, you know, to even take it a little bit further, when you're in a position when you're trying to clean up your name and clean up your credit, and you're determined to do so, you know, 2 years ago, you couldn't have told me that I could have went out and got a loan for $2,000. And last week, I just co-signed for my son to get a car at $14,000. And I was like, nobody but God. You know, it's just amazing that when you put your mind to do something, you can just do it. And that's my story for 2020. So, you know, although the news is all bad, for me personally, 2020 wasn't that bad. There was some light at the end of my tunnel.
So for someone who, I have one thing I want to pull it up, but for someone who doesn't have the spirit, who doesn't have the spirit of self-determination, who does not feel that kujichagulia, you know, they don't feel it in their spirit, what would be your word for them? Would you have a word of encouragement? Would you have some direction? Would you have some instruction for somebody outside of, I have written down, you said goals. You got to have goals, right? So outside of that, is there another thing?
You got to have a village, because, you know, when your spirit gets low, you have to have a cheerleader in the background pushing you and saying, hey, you know, you can do it. Keep doing it. Keep going, you know, because it does get hard. And, you know, the devil can get in your ear, your friends can get in your ear, because let's be clear, everybody doesn't want to see you succeed. Everybody doesn't believe in your dream. So you have to find the right people and put them around you so that you can keep that determination going. Because and this is a problem that I have. One of the things that I have a problem with is sharing my vision. And it's not because I'm selfish, it's because I'm leery, you know, because you could sit at a table full of people that you think are your friends, and they say, come on, we're going to have a vision board party. And you start making your visions plain, and you look up and somebody done stole your vision and, you know, said, no, I thought of that first. And, there's enough to go around. Don't get me wrong, and we can all do the same thing, but you have to be careful and you have to protect your dream, because no sooner than that, it'll be somebody else's and you'll be watching them fly off and take off with something that you thought you had a foundation to.
Lord have mercy. Who you talking about?
Yep.
It's the truth though. Okay, so you said something. I wanna put this up there real quick. Two things. Let me say this before I move on to that. Protect your dream. Tracy from Cincinnati says, protect your dream and your vision. I want to welcome Damany, head of the Pontiac Regional Chamber. He's going to come in and talk about Umoja soon, which is Umoja cooperative economics. But Tracy, I want to add something to what you said. You said you need to find your village, but then what I'm getting ready to say, you further went into it a second ago, because I was thinking you need to find your village, and more importantly, you need to find your tribe, because there could be a lot of people in the village who are not for you. And that's really what you said, right?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So look for your village, but find your tribe.
And don't make your village of 1,000 people. My village is small, very small. My circle is small. It could almost be a triangle.
Right. And then here's the other piece too. Those people, your tribe, your true tribe is going to help you protect your vision or your dream. The other thing they're going to do, your real tribe, they're also going to hold you accountable to whatever it is that you said you want or what you desire. So they're going to be the people that call you and say, I thought you said you was going to walk, like Sharice Clayton told me the other day. You told me you was going to walk with me. You lied. We didn't get our soul, Lord Jesus. Somebody got to hold you accountable, and those who are in your tribe are going to hold you accountable. They're not going to say, I knew she wasn't going to do that. She said I knew she wasn't going to do
right
behind your back, right?
Or they're going to say, it's January 15th. Where you at with your goal?
Right. Absolutely. So, last few words from Tracy from Cincinnati. She said you got to set some goals. If you're going to be self-determined, you're really going to accomplish those things that you set out to do, you need to set some goals. She said you need to have a village. I added, you need to find a village and find a village, but seek your tribe, or seek a village and find your tribe. Someone who's going to hold you accountable, and somebody who's going to help you protect your dream and your vision.
And I'm going to leave with this. Give God the credit and the glory, because we can't do it all by ourselves. When we try and put that much weight up by ourselves, that's when we collapse and we get stressed out, and you can't do it all by yourself. Mm-hmm. So ask God to help you. If you can't find somebody that you trust in that village or that tribe, just pray your way through.
So you got to have some faith.
That's right.
You got to have some kind of relationship with the Creator. I love it. Anybody want to speak to that? Go ahead and do it while I'm typing in these notes for Tracy real quick.
I think that's why Umoja come first. I never looked at these being in a particular order, because you're right. You start telling your dreams or your visions to the wrong person, you're going to end up like Joseph in the bottom of a well somewhere. So you got to be careful on that. You got to connect with people. Again, it's not everybody.
That's right.
You can't get down with the whole world. You need a group of people that you can connect with, that circle, that group, that fam, whatever you want to call it. So that's so key. Yeah.
All family ain't blood.
Ooh, somebody said all kinfolk ain't, all skinfolk ain't kinfolk.
That's right.
Protect your dream and vision.
I just wanted to offer another amen.
Amen. Why they gotta say it more than once? What is it? Amen and amen, and then amen and amen is one thing, but amend and amend. What is
with a D on it?
What is that?
Put a D on it.
I don't understand. What is it?
Black folk, whenever we say something twice, we really mean it. Get in here, and I mean get in
for real.
So you underline it that second time.
That's what make it show up for real.
I'm gonna let you know they mean it, boy. You better pick it up, and I mean
right now.
I love it, Tracy. That's a blessing. Thank you very much. So, Tracy from Cincinnati on Cootie Chagalia goals, locate your village, find your tribe, protect your dream and vision. Oh, I forgot the last thing, and keep your relationship, keep it open. What can we say, Tracy? Keep it open.
Give God the credit and the
Give
glory.
God the credit. All right, and give God the credit and the glory. Love it. Love it. Y'all give it up for Tracy from Cincinnati. She didn't come here to play. She came here to slay. There's a difference, playing and slaying. All right. All right. So next on the docket, y'all make sure y'all sharing the stream. Next on the docket is, I believe it's another brother from another mother. Let's see. Nope, it's not. It is Miss Cori with Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujima.
I'll just start by saying I'm not going behind you two ever in my life again. So let's say that.
Come on in here, Miss Cori.
I've been celebrating Kwanzaa for 30 years, and here y'all come. And I'm like, and say what? So, about Ujima. I think, thanks, Vicky, for picking it for me, because I think I am Ujima. For whatever reason, I will not live alone. I insist on us being together. So the principle of Ujima honors the commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest. So in the spirit of togetherness and common interest, there are several quotes I wanted to share in a proverb as well, African proverb. And I'll start with the African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think we all work to have, for ourselves, for our family, leave a legacy, but we forget about what it means to grow together. We live on a block, but we think about our own home, not about your neighbor's trash, not about your neighbor's door being open, not about the guy behind you that you may heard screaming. And I think if we forget about what we do together, then we fail ourselves, because we cannot live on an island alone. There's a Japanese writer whose name I cannot pronounce, so I won't mess that up. It says, his quote is, individually, we are one drop. Together, we're an ocean. And I feel like when we grow individually, it's pertinent. But when we come together as a group of people behind a common goal, no matter what that is, and we think about the uproar we had behind George Floyd, and I don't know if we made a difference in terms of George Floyd, because of course he's not with us. However, I think the awareness that comes behind the movement, the outrage, the upset in this time made a difference for this generation. I don't think there has been an upset like that with this generation, and us coming together and standing for something. I can't remember a time in, I guess, my son's lifetime where we all stood together for something. So I think our young people being able to participate, our young people being able to see it, and the power of social media coming together to bring us together was beyond pertinent and beyond powerful for our time. And I think we needed it. I don't know how I do know how. And I always say I don't know, but I do know how. I don't think you can recover from 400 years of slavery and separation in any amount of time, and especially a short amount of time as we have, because we haven't realized that that's what the issue is. So I think if we recognize that we can work on it, but recognizing that we need to come together, but protecting ourselves is always our main goal. I don't want you to have what I have, or I don't want you to take what I've created, or I don't want you to steal my idea, because that's what we do. And unfortunately, we've been trained to do that over time, because that's what we had to do to survive. So I'm hoping that with the practice of Kwanzaa, with the explosion of the movement in this generation, we can get some headway regarding our freedom, because this cannot be how life is. And I don't know where everybody is from except for Tracy from Cincinnati. But here in our area, this is not the way to live. I grew up on the block where my home is today. And I knew all my neighbors. I knew their names. They knew me. I couldn't even come past the 5th house on the block, but I knew everybody and everybody knew me. I cannot call the name of anybody other than my neighbors on either side right now. And my brother, because he lives down the street. It's crazy to me. So we think about what communalism is. We think about what togetherness is. We think about what individualism has done to us. I think we should come up with something that we're going to do this year to involve other people, to make a difference in somebody else. Because I can't just say I'm going to raise my son, because my son has to go out in the world with the rest of the people. So what am I going to teach my son so he knows that he's not on the island by himself? What are we going to do to invite his friends over and teach them something too? Because who knows how he was raised? We forget that, I think. Michael Jordan said, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. So we can win the game, but the championship is life and lineage. So what do our kids do? If I'm not better than my parents, and not better individually, but if I don't make a mark, if I don't have more in terms of my community involvement, then what did my parents do for me? If we're not passing the baton, then what are we doing? If I have to start from square one as a human, and then my son starts from square one as a human, how do we go anywhere? Because I'm giving him 2 through 5. So now he can go and get 6 through 10. And now he can pass 1 through 10 on to his children. But we don't do that because we want to hold it on for ourselves because we're struggling to survive. So I think if we focus more on community and remember community versus ourselves, it will make a difference. And I know Vicky knows, I don't know if I've talked about it in this form before, but I grew up from teenage years through now as a member of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. And our founder was Albert B. Clegg. And he wrote a book in 1972, Black Christian Nationalism, New Directions for the Black Church. And in that book, chapter 4 is salvation is a group experience. And we were taught that salvation is a group experience. We were taught communalism. We lived communally. We ate communally. We played communally. All I know is a group. We all were in a group. We went to school together. I went to Cass. I don't know anybody at Cass. People say, well, I remember you from, I don't know anybody at Cass. 1,000 of us came in. I have 2 friends from high school. Everybody else I knew from church because we stayed together. We worked together. We played together. We ate together. We went to school together. We studied together. We succeeded together. So I think if we remember to surround ourselves with people who have a common interest, a common goal, and work towards that common goal, whatever that is, and we can't be on the same page. It's impossible for all of the people in the whole entire world to be on the same page, but you can get a group of people behind a common cause and make a difference in that group, make a positive effort forward, and then pass that along. And I think we've missed the mark, and I think we probably can do better with that.
That's powerful, Cori.
Thanks. Doug Peterson, Pederson, is an NFL coach. And he has a quote that says, an individual can make a difference and a team can make a miracle. So if we think about the sacrifice of our leaders and them dying for us to have what we have today, or at least an example of what sacrifice looks like, that's one thing. But what do we do with it? What do all of us do with it as a team? What does a team do once the quarterback gets COVID? We gonna not play no more games. We got to come together as a team and make it happen. And that happening is a miracle. And I think we forget the beauty of a miracle too. So that's what I have. I don't know how many minutes I have, but that's what I have. And I'll go back and kind of recap about Ujima being the commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest.
Wait, say it again. Commitment to active.
A commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest.
Is that your definition?
Oh no, I found that on Beyonce's internet.
Okay.
Wow, Beyonce.
What? You should just say
Beyonce and Al Gore.
That's interesting.
No, I love that.
Wait, Cori, could you say the name of that book again?
Huh?
Yeah.
The name of the book.
Your pastor's book.
It is book. Black Christian Nationalism, New Directions for the Black Church.
And then
Black Christian Nationalism.
Yes, comma, New Directions for the Black Church, published in 1972. Reverend Albert B. Clegg.
Clegg, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you also mentioned a quote. I think it was one of the chapters, maybe. You said it's
salvation is a group experience.
Ooh, Lord.
Yeah.
He has a sermon. I want to say, because we watch the sermon all the time. He has a sermon that's probably on YouTube that you can watch regarding, but it's chapter 4 of the book.
Oh, okay. So that's salvation is in the book, Black Christians.
Yep, salvation is a group experience. It's chapter 4 of the book.
Man, that's
ain't that, I know, right? They give you goose pimples, don't it?
Yes.
So
the concept is incredible. Like, and thinking about it as an adult, I didn't know any better as a kid. My parents my mom went to church. She took us to church. They joined the church, and then I kind of joined on my own. But I didn't think about how different we were growing up in a setting like that than everybody else that I knew, because traditional Black churches teach something different. But I grew up where communalism is how we lived. We lived everything was together. Camp, eat, prep the food, cook the food, shop for the food, go to church. We had communal activities all the time. Everybody was in a group based on age and place in life. And it just makes a difference. And I think I'm different because of it. My outlook is different because of it. And I refuse to be alone. I refuse to win by myself in anything. I cannot do it by myself.
Cori, can I ask you a question, Cori? So in growing up that way, because you mentioned you only had 2 friends in high school.
Additional friends, like that I added on to.
So the kids in your group, they also went to your high school? Because I was going to ask, did it make you antisocial with the people that weren't in your group?
No.
Okay.
No, I've always been the way that I am, which is friendly, and it's often surface level, because I don't attach to people easily. And that's not because of the way I grew up. That's just who I am. And long before church, I was that way. I've always been, my family's very large, and we've always done things as a family. So we didn't do outside people because we didn't need to.
Okay.
My father's one of 18, so we were always together.
Okay.
We were always at grandma's house. My parents were always there with us. So I didn't do outside people because I never had to.
Okay.
So that's just a carry on of, what I was born into, is just not, having to have outside people. So, and it was, all through when I went in 9th grade, of course, there were people in all of the years. So you kind of had somebody to lean on, because you get lost in a system like CAS. Like, you talking about 3,000 people in a building, you get lost as a one person. So having somebody to kind of lean on, just like being in a sorority or being in a part of the band, you kind of look out for each other. So it wasn't that we didn't welcome other people. It's just that we didn't really need them. Just like you do in a family. Of course, you come over to dinner and you can come hang with us, but it's just different. Having somebody that you can trust and you can lean on is what it was, more than exclusion of other people.
That's very similar to the way I came up with Sonny and Danelle and some others. Very, very similar. Matter of fact, Sonny did a new show that he's doing called Fireside Chats the other night. Him and a couple of the fellas that we grew up with, and it was very much the same way. We were all inclusive in terms of friendship, but we met each other through the church that we were involved in. So it was our own culture too, and we weren't missing anything.
Right.
We didn't feel like we were missing anything at all. I heard De Niro say, we were very, very religious, but I heard De Niro say on the thing that you taped the other day, Sonny, he said, we made being saved cool. we made being Christian cool, because we just didn't need anybody. I was, I remember in terms of dressing, it's hilarious. I was a trendsetter even in the fact that I chose. My mother gave me a choice. I chose to wear dresses every single day because that's what we did, right? But by the time I got to high school, I had some style, right? I had a job working at Burger King. I didn't need my mom to buy my clothes. I was like, oh, yes. And I remember I dressed every day in high school, so much so that I even wore heels almost every single day in high school.
Fancy.
I was so fancy. And I remember when I got to Wilberforce, I saw a girl that went to high school with me that I didn't really know. she was at Central State, and she said to me, because Tracy, remember we used to do that radio show on Friday nights for WU?
The
You
radio
remember
show.
that? And
Oh yeah.
she was listening to my radio show every Friday night. I didn't know that. I think I had an hour. I ran into her at Central, and she said, "Girl, you be jamming on that night train show. I love that show." Then she said, "I remember you from high school. You would be so shy walking down the hall with your skirts and your high heel shoes on." I said, "You remember that?" You know.
But you was wearing that when you got the Wilberforce too, those long skirts.
I mean, they were long, and I was doing different things with pleats and that, because So anyway, I'm saying all that to say, yes, we also create our own community. So I understand that. I completely understand that. If you all don't know anything other than what Cori told y'all about her pastor, y'all need to look that guy up, because he was no joke.
That's
he was
right.
no joke.
Already
He was
did.
no joke.
When
And
she
he
said
rubbed.
When she said that salvation
Oh, yeah.
thing, I was like, I got to find this book.
Okay,
tonight.
Danelle, we're gonna wait. Danelle said his computer is tripping. He don't know what's going on. Let me see.
What's your pastor's name?
Hey, can I just
The founder of the
Yeah,
church is
sorry.
Albert B. Clegg. Albert B as in boy Clegg. Cleage.
Yeah, and he rubbed shoulders with the likes of or they rubbed shoulders with him. Let me just put it like that.
Say
Aretha Franklin's father and
Andrew
MLK,
Young.
and they were good friends. But from what I could read, he's very responsible for that black slate too, wasn't he?
But
he is the founder of the Black Slate.
That's what I'm talking
He
about.
created the Black Slate.
Okay, so the Black Slate, you all can learn a little bit more about that, but it was a political group for leverage for Black community.
Unlike a lot of other churches, we focus on politics. We had a political arm of the church.
Mute yourself. Danelle, mute yourself.
Oh,
there he goes again.
Now churches are getting into politics, but before they would not be in politics. And
Absolutely.
I think he kind of pushed that for us. We were all out there passing out pamphlets.
Somebody needs
We're not going to have an election, general or primary. We're not out there passing out pamphlets. We were informed about elections, about candidates. We interview candidates and still do today. Like, we are all informed about candidates and what their platforms are and can speak to them. And if you can't speak to them, to be quiet.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Cori, can you explain real quick the shrines of the Black Madonna? I've never heard of that.
Well, Black Madonna, of course, is the Virgin Mary. What traditional churches say, the Virgin Mary. We believe that
Mary.
Say it again, Vicky.
I said the real Mary.
Right. So rather than the church is assimilation of traditional African religion and spirituality. What religion has been to Christians in the United States, and similar to what Islam and the Muslim faith is as well. So it's shrines of the Black Madonna of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church, which is also similar to the Marcus Garvey movement as well.
Okay.
Good, very, very impressive and just good information. So if y'all need to know about that. And then also he gave birth to some heavy hitters. So like,
listen,
Pearl
Clegg can write. Listen,
yes, I was going to ask you if he can the Pearl Clegg.
That's her father.
Wow, okay.
That's her father. Yeah.
I know she's from Detroit.
Yeah.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Heavy hitters.
He's genius. He's a genius, and he sacrificed his financial life and his life that he could have lived as a successful person to create something for us. One of the not one of the smartest, the smartest man I've met. And his family is either directly connected to or I want to say they're related. The Evans, Warren Evans, Blair Evans.
This is
they're all related, if I'm not mistaken.
If I heard correctly, that's his uncle.
Blair
Evans' uncle.
I think so too.
Warren Evans'
I think
uncle.
it's his sister's son. Yep. Yeah.
And Cori, that was awesome.
Thank
you.
Go
ahead. Somebody want to say something?
It was.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump in because I think one of the things that we want to make sure we acknowledge is like the space of the world, the space of the globe, the space of the earth, in different time frames. And during that 70s time frame, it was a huge enlightenment era in the world happening. And so like, great philosophers came out, great authors came out. Like there was a huge influx of like just knowledge, right? And I think one of the things as we move forward, we got to be present to what space we're in, like globally, right? Because like I think it's really critical, one, that we look at, how on an economic level, right? Like how do we actually participate, right? Because I'm about to go into group economics, but but
Wait,
really
don't go yet.
Huh?
Don't go yet.
I'm not going yet, but I'm just saying, like, there are some. If you look back at, I think it's called the Enlightenment era in the history of the United States in the 70s. There was like this huge influx of like there was a space that was happening in the United States that was touching human beings all over the United States. And so I just think that I want to make sure everyone's aware of that, because I think something's happening like that again. Right?
That has to be it. It has to be it, because you think about the civil rights movement of the 60s, that started what happened in the 70s. Just like now, it's going to start if we don't let it die. How did it die from there? We got a couple dollars. We got stimulated. And if we don't do it again, we don't keep the momentum going, we'll be in that same place 40 years from now.
I was talking to my 13-year-old yesterday or day before yesterday, one of the two, and I said to her that we were in a very to Damany's point, that we're in a very critical time. But if we don't take advantage of the time, we'll look back on it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. Our children will look back and say, wow, those things happen in this time. Because this is what I said to her. There's never in our lifetime have we had this kind of downtime. Even if you're working, there's still some downtime that you never had before, or the people around you have some downtime that you've never had before, right? So I don't think will ever be another time when you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish with the creative space that you need, as is possible right now in this space. So out of this time frame, whether it's you or me or not, somebody is creating some major stuff in this time frame.
Chat with the host and other guests.
So 10 years from now, we're going to find out about wonderful creations, whether it be artistic, or whether it be engineering, whether it be, people are going to create stuff that they never had the headspace to think about, that we're going to see come out of time. There's going to be a lot of creation. There's going to be a lot of babies. We're going to have another baby boom,
Speak that on yourself.
Oh no, it's too late for me. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of creating going on in this time. Shame on us if we let this time pass us by and we're looking back as people begin to capitalize on what they created during the time that we are in right now.
And I'll say this, Vicky, I got a little nudge to start this business I've been thinking about. And when I tell you, I went from twos and fews to $1,000 weeks in 6 months.
See,
I added another business on. So I'm still working one. And then I'm having, $1,000 weeks with another one in 6 months, and needing to add help now.
Wow. So you need an employee.
Huh.
That's what
I'm gonna get a young one, a real young one, so I don't have to have no back and forth. We can kind of start together, and I can push her on.
And you can groom her.
And leave it behind, because I got something else I need to work on.
That is collective work and responsibility, unless you didn't know it. That's what it is. Bam, bam, wham, bam, bam.
I'm trying.
She is living it and trying to teach somebody else. That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
All right. She is collective work and responsibility in the flesh, damn it. All right, here we go. So, Cori, these are my takeaways from you. Surround yourself with people who have like interests and a common goal. Yes. Also, no, the other one you said belonged to Beyonce, so I won't use that one. This is the other takeaway too. I want you all to know about this book, because this is important, right? So that was by founder Clegg. What's his first name?
Clegg.
Clegg.
Albert
Clegg.
Clegg. Mm-hmm.
Black Christian nationalism and the new direction of the Black church. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the other takeaway. Any parting words or last words for you right now?
I
Miss
just want to
Cori?
say thank you. I think you're doing great. I miss being at Kwanzaa, but
I
this is
know, right?
almost as good.
This is good because you know what? That's what I mean when I meant when I said it's a blessing and a curse. We would not have had this real conversation at Kwanzaa. We would have been wrapped up in all of the other stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, but we talked. I know I have with my family, me and Sonny and his mother and Uncle Tick. We have talked about the fact that we wanted to move Kwanzaa outside of that one day event. How could we do it? You know,
Live it.
Exactly. But we also talked about the fact that we needed time to sit down and talk about it. Did we not, Sonny? That we needed time to enough space to hash it out. So that's kind of what we're doing now. Right?
How do they
So
apply in our everyday lives? And I think that's what Kwanzaa does. Just like Black History Month is not to celebrate during February, it's to remind us of what our history is so we can repeat it.
Absolutely. Or repeat the best parts of it.
Of course.
Repeat the best parts of it.
Yep. And that's what our history is. Our history is great. This 400 years is nothing compared to creating math and science. I mean, how does that compare?
Yes. Give it up for Cori, Miss Cori. Dropping that Ujima knowledge. She was dropping that Ujima. I'm gonna start calling you Mama Ujima. That's my new name for you, Mama Ujima.
I take it.
All right.
And we all have African names too, Vicky. And I don't know if I shared that before either, but we all have African names, and we name your children an African name. Why? Because we're from Africa, but it gives them something to live up to. So I think that if we keep that in mind, Dijanaba. And it means affectionate, and I'm affectionate in my own way. A little rough, but in my own way.
Dijanaba. Our friend Sharice, I don't know, most of y'all know Sharice. Our friend Sharice Clayton was also raised in the Shrine of the Black Madonna, but she was raised in the one in Texas, I believe it is, right?
In Houston, yep.
Her name is Zakia. And my name that was given to me when I was in Kenya was Rukia.
I know Rukia.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so let's do it again. Share your feed if you can. I've been sharing to Facebook, but these are just my friends. So if you can share it, you can go straight to the live feed on YouTube and then share it to your Facebook feed or your Instagram or Clubhouse or my house or whatever. All right. So thank you, Cori. That was awesome. It is time for our next one. We are right at 10:30. Can we do a 2-minute break? Damany, can you allow us to do a 2-minute break? Is that cool? All right. So 2 minutes. We'll take 2 minutes for you to go and to refresh your cup if you need to. Like I need to, because I am drinking a tea toddy. And I'm gonna refresh my cup. And we'll be back in just about 2 minutes. No longer than 3. Make a run to the potty if you need to, Meanwhile, I'm gonna get this little Kwanzaa music going for y'all, as much as y'all can hear. Can y'all hear that? All right, and we back. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, that song was called, it's by Quaver Music. It's called it's called Kwanzaa Celebration, and it is on YouTube. So in case you like that, you can go and listen to that there. Hopefully they don't cut my stuff off because I played it. All right, moving right along. So we are moving on to our next principle, and our next Kwanzaa principle will be Ujamaa, which means cooperative economics. So to discuss or to lead a discussion on cooperative economics or Ujamaa is Damany Head, who is the president of the Pontiac Regional Chamber and another one of my brothers from another mother. So you got the floor, Damany.
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity. Just to got a little background of me. So I'm the son of Robbie and Silas Goma. And as you can see, there's some African artwork in the background. I thought I'd represent. So since everybody come with their headdress, I was like, I'm like, I can only have a scruffy beard. I'll give you the straight from Nigeria, Jos Plateau region, some artwork. So, my parents were married, when I was 6 years old, and it's been a really, really great time, learning from them and operating consistent with the values they left me with. And so I'm going to start with this quote. And the quote is from I can say it. Lovely Julius Larry. There are more important things in life than amassing riches, and if the pursuit of wealth clashes with things like human dignity, social equality, and the latter must be given priority. And so I'll say it one more time. There are more important things in life than amassing riches, and if the pursuit of wealth clashes with things like human dignity, social equality, the latter must be given priority.
Mm.
So, if we start kind of the discussion from there, it's really, when you look at the term, it means Ujamaa means extended family, brotherhood. A person becomes a person through the people or the community.
Mm.
And so, when we think about where we are in today's society, right? So I have 3 children of my own. There's a strong emphasis, and I'll say it this way, on addiction, right? And in today's society, and what I mean by that is like you got sugar, you got fat,
Mm-hmm.
you got electronics, and all these things can tend to sever you from who you really are. And so part of when we talk about economics and group economics, if you aren't present to who you are as a human being, I think you're gonna start to lose sight of group economics. So, a couple things out of leading the chamber for the city of Pontiac. One of the things that we're constantly focused on is the 5 dysfunctions of a team, which is Patrick Lencioni's book. And he talks about, what does it take to get results, and part of what it takes to get results, and his distinction of getting results and the dysfunction is, building trust, right? And so if we go back to, the first quote, it is there are more important things than amassing riches, right? Will people sacrifice? I think Cori talked about this. Will they sacrifice their opportunity to build riches for another human being?
Mm.
And so, trusting that, right? And then, hold on one second.
Okay.
So, if we think about, the 5 dysfunctions, one of the things we have to consider is, building trust is at the first level, but the dealing with conflict is the second level. The third level is commitment. The fourth level is accountability. And I think everyone always wants to jump to accountability before they want to actually build trust with somebody. They're like, oh, we got to hold each other accountable without building trust as the foundation for everything. And so when we look at, group economics, part of what we have to start to consider is how much time are we spending building trust with people? Like, how do we know trust is present, right? Those are the things that we have to consider and start to build from, because the top of the food chain in the 5 dysfunctions is results. And so you have to go through these in that paradigm, right? The model that Patrick Lencioni built. You got to go through these 4 distinctions before you can even talk about having any kind of results. And so, at the chamber, I'm always equating making money, right, with building the foundation first. And so if you don't have a foundation built, you shouldn't even think about talking about making money, right? And I think Cori said she finally jumped out and started her business, and she's like, it just started taking off, right? Well, there were some elements already present, right? Because when you think about what has to be present for a business to make money, they got to have customers. So there's somewhere along the way, either you or what you're representing has built trust in a community of people, right? And so when you have that, it's easy to take off and build something really great, right? Because you got the basis and the foundation in place. And so, one of the things that I think we have to consider in today's age is, where have we not done the work sufficient to have a self-sufficient community, right? Self-reliant community. And so part of that is, are we building trust? And I think Cori was touching on that. She's like, I don't know the guys on my block, right? I don't know people who live around me. And so, part of what we've been doing in Pontiac is really looking at, economics from kind of 3 different levels. One is, are you doing business with your neighbor next door to you, right? Are you doing business with other businesses in the community, right? And are their employees using your business? So, for us, it's really focusing on, if we want to be successful, we might want to start at home, right? Like, if someone in your community trusts you to do service for them, then you might have a shot outside of the community. And vice versa may be true, right? You may be able to build a presence outside of the community first and then work your way backwards. I just think that at some point you got to have the basis of trust built in. And I think it goes back to, the quote around, who we are as human beings. And I think when we look at what's happening in society is, and specifically this, and this is just my own personal opinion, I'm like, first they took leverage away from cities, right, by going global, right? Now they're working to take leverage away from cities again by going digital, right? And so I think one of the things we got to consider is, like, there's going to be this presence where you may have ghost towns. I was driving past Dearborn, and I was like,
definitely.
there's no one in that building right now that used to be called Ford Motor Company. You know what I'm saying? Like, these big historic buildings that have been built. The Renaissance Center, I was down there in June, and there was no one downtown. I'm like, so we just made a comeback, right? As a city, as a community. And now, things are being put on pause. And so I think part of it is, in historically Black cities, I'm like, are we going to take responsibility and stop leaving it up to the government, for our own economics? And I think part of, I think, was it Tracy? Tracy was saying that, she didn't realize she could pay off her debt. And I said, this is the year of Jubilee, right? This is the year. And I told Vicky this. I'm like, look, people, they're not saying this to you, but you better get loaded up, right? You better get your order, right? because we're giving you this money. I've been on calls with the SBA and they're like, yo, you better take this $150,000, right? Like, you're never going to get money as cheap as this ever, you know? And so it was almost like gangsters, like, yo, take the money if you know what's good for you, you know? And so part of you know, what I think we have to do is like, and I think I'm stealing this from A Wonderful Life, the movie, right? When there was a run on the banks in the movie, and the guy was like, you know, everybody's coming to the banker and was like, yo, I need my money back. And he's like, I don't have your money. He's like, it's in his inventory and it's in their mortgage and it's in their car. And right. But that was a point of saying group economics. And I don't know that everyone's ready to do that, but we better get ready. Right. Because part of what I think is rolling out is, are you able to sustain your own community? Because if you look at the national debt that they're running up, eventually we're going to enter what is called the long-term debt cycle, and we're going to have to pay. And for those who are not ready for that, right? If people remember Greece, right? What was happening in Greece? Like that, those things can come and knock on our door too. We're not immune. You know what I'm saying? Like, we may not be the #1 economy forever, and we may not, you know, be the place where people want to invest their money forever. And so, you know, my children are 4, 10, and 11. And so they need other people. They need, you know, Cori's, you know, brothers and sisters and their children, right, to be in a relationship with, because what if they need something? You know, what if they're like, yo, I need, you know, battery acid. I don't know, I'm making that up, but to run my car, you know, those are the opportunities where, you know, we need to be very clear about who we are, what we need to exist in this environment, right? So I'm assuming most people are in the north, right? So what do we need to exist, and do we have control of it? And part of it is, we don't have control over a lot. We don't have control over electricity, right? We don't have control over gas, natural gas. We don't have control over, you know, most of employment around our community. And so those are the things where I think we need to go to work. Probably the biggest one that no one even talks about, which is, you know, a blessing is water, right? We are blessed with ample amounts of water in the Great Lakes region. And, you know, I think that, you know, given that, you know, we're a peninsula in Michigan, and given that, you know, we have some of the most important elements of providing for ourselves. And I think, you know, as we look forward to what we're doing, I think we have to say, okay, who's going to do what, right? So my wife and I own a business in the recycling industry, and, you know, people come to us because they're like, hey, my furnace broke down, my water heater broke down, my AC broke down, right? So they're not going to live without those things. And so when we look at our business, it's like, it's non-discretionary, right? And so one of the things that I think we have to start talking about is like, how much of the stuff we are engaged in is discretionary versus non-discretionary. You know, someone called me from the city of Pontiac, was talking about the budget that the city has allocated. And I was like, well, how much of the budget is discretionary and how much of the budget is non-discretionary? Because that's what really matters, because the non-discretionary, they got to pay, right? It's what's left over in the discretionary funds that we need to start being interested in. And I think Cori was talking about this, like, you don't talk if you don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, being interested in it, because that's where we need to be, like, banging people's head. Like, you need to be investing back in your citizens, right? It's our tax dollars going to you, and here's how we want to allocate those dollars so our community is self-sufficient. And if we're not allocating those dollars in that manner, then guess what? You got to go, right? And I think that part of where we are today is, you know, our generation has to start taking an interest in how people are spending money, given we know we got to set up for the long term, which is our children, our children's children, right? And training them to, you know how to run a community. And I think, you know, historically, I'm gonna make this broad generalization. Most African American run communities have not been as financially successful as they should have been, right? And I think that's an important thing that we take precedent on, is like, how do we intrude when it's our money? You know, I walk around Pontiac and talk to some old heads, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we knew they were stealing." I'm like, "Why didn't you say anything?" You know, like, that was our money, you know, as a community. And so those things, you know, really matter in that sense, and because that's the largest game of group economics right now, is like tax dollars, right? Whether it's on the city level, state level, no one entity is producing more group economic effect than probably cities.
So, Damany, I hear you say several things. So, the first thing I hear is, can you all hear me? Because I hear an echo. Echo or no? Great. Why am I hearing an echo? I don't know. Okay, so the first thing I hear you saying is we got to build trust, right? We got to build trust in our communities. Well, I put two things together. We got to build trust in our communities first before we can move outside of the community. Yes? Yes? Okay. So the other thing I hear you saying is that we have to have some level of control, some level of I want to say monopoly, but some level of control to have any real power. Yes? Yeah. So that brings me to two things. First thing is that that kind of organization would definitely have to come out of conversation, right? Some kind of conversation, some kind of planning, that kind of thing. So that brings me, it takes me actually back to something that I know Cori does. And Damany and I've talked about that. Matter of fact, no, Danelle is not, and Tracy's not. So let me just give you this information. There has to be a space and a place to have these kinds of conversations, right? Because this is like really long term, you know, fleshing out some ideas, so on and so forth. So one of the things that Cori does, and we can talk about that at a later date, but I just want to tell you that, put it in your ear. One of the things that she does is she does a yearly camping trip that's 2 to 3 days, right? Typically she's done it on 4th of July weekend, but we decided last year for this year that we will move it from 4th of July weekend to Juneteenth weekend. So I think that though that is the perfect situation, a perfect kind of that's the perfect space to have to start conversations like this. You know, how can we organize so that we can pull our resources, pull our thinking together in order to really move into an area that will benefit us all. Does that make sense? Yes. You want to add to that, Damany?
Yeah, I love what Tracy had to say. I love what Cori had to say. Partly, I think the time is now. There's going to be a lot of money up for grabs and opportunities to establish things in our community. And part of establishing that is getting ourselves educated. To a degree that that makes sense, right? Our county that we were in was fortunate enough to be able to elicit funds from the Fed that they were trying to figure out what to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't have their ear, they weren't listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they had an abundance of money that they're like, man, how do we figure out what we do? Like, we got too much money. We got to figure out how to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so part of where I think we got to be at is we got to be managing whose ear we're in, because there's going to be dollars and cents rolling out. And then the kind of the last piece I think is super critical that we talk about, in our own personal business, is the story of John Henry. And in the story of John Henry, from what I understand and what I remember of it, he did win against the machine, and he paid his life for it, and the machine kept rolling. And if you look at, there's a graph of like a man's labor versus productivity. There's a graph, and right around in that 70s time frame, 60s, 70s time frame, there was this divergence between productivity and a man's labor. And so one of the things we talk about in our business is, you know, the different levels, right? Commodities, right? So as slaves, we were brought over here to make sure we gathered the commodities, right? And, you know, why I chose recycling was, I'm like, yo, any third world country is looking at its commodities as a means to produce money, right? So I'm like, I'm in Pontiac. I'm like, ain't much difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if you can have control of your commodities, you got an opportunity to play in international markets: copper, aluminum, pulp, cotton, rice, wheat, right? All these commodities make sense. And so how this relates to John Henry is, you know, he was just slugging away producing the railroad, which was made to transport commodities. And now, you know, we've had, you know, generations of people come up to create finished goods, right? So the Great Migration was about bringing people to the north to create finished goods. And so those finished goods got created. And that was people we knew, right? That was our, you know, great uncles,
our parents,
great grandparents, our parents. And so that generation is done. And then, you know, the legacy went on to the semiconductor industry. And so in the semiconductor industry, you know, we have the fortunate opportunity to be participating in it right now, or using it, right? Because it produced the ability to transmit signals further than we could ever imagine, right? My dad can send a text to Nigeria in less than a second, that person is responding, right? Who would have thought, you know, 50 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, that would have been where we're at. And so part of where we have to look at is like, how do we have different people operating at different levels, right? So just an example from the recycling. So when we started, we were just like, hey, we want to recycle. And we didn't really know what that meant. And so now we don't only recycle, right? So steel's up. Steel, you know, has fluctuated over the last 10 years from $50 a ton to $200 a ton. So that's not necessarily going to always be the best market to be in. But then we found out, it's like, oh, wait, there's still some usable value left in some of these components. And so people can buy these components from us for used value, right? All across the country. We sell to Canada, we sell to, you know, to Europe, Sweden, places like that, France. So, and because we get these materials and we can sell them and do that on the backbone of the semiconductor industry, it opens up amazing doors. And so I say that because I'm like, we have to start thinking about the next wave, which is data and algorithms, right?
So we move into, for 2021, if you had to give us one major point that we should look at as individuals moving toward 2021 in terms of group economics, what would your one statement be?
My one statement would be, I would say dig into, you know, the balance sheets of companies you're invested in, whether you pay them or they pay you, right? Get interested in their balance sheet and where the money's flowing in and where the money's flowing out. And just start investigating that. I mean, that's your city, that's your state government, that's, you know, the federal government. You know, if you have Comcast or you got Spectrum, you know, AT&T, I mean, they're telling us where they're going to send the money to, and we should probably be interested in that because that's where the investments are headed. And so we should be thinking along the same lines as a community, a group of people.
So is it safe to say you're telling us to follow the money?
Always. 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 Always.
Yes.
Can I just add something there too, Vicky? I mean, I think that this is such a powerful conversation. This economic piece is the strength and the power that we need to actually make a voice and make a change. And also, you know, some of us especially a small entrepreneurs like me, they need $6,000-7,000 to kick off something. They don't need $40,000. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
money is in this room right now. For 2 years for my birthday, I did a pitch contest where people came to my birthday party and we gave those people not even a loan, a gift to start a business. So I do believe that we definitely need to get into this bigger manufacturing piece, whatever it may be, whether it be textiles. But a lot of us, like my boy D, he doing books. If he had somebody to give him $5,000 to get started, and it's 6 of us on the phone right now. He didn't say this. This ain't no ploy for him. But you know what I'm saying? He said, look, we're gonna hold you down, give you a grand to get this started. Some of that is within this group right here. I mean, one of the things we got to be careful about, these institutions have played us so much. They've done so much crooked stuff.
That's right.
They change the rules as they go.
Yeah.
Equity meant something until your house was underwater. You know what I'm saying? And so I get it. So own a house. I'm not tripping off that. But you got to be careful because these people will change the rules as they go. And then when we think, oh, I thought everybody had to do this. Oh, no. We're not doing it. It's like the Wiz. We got the green and no, the color red now. And then we also get red. Oh, no, the color blue. And we ripping and running, trying to keep up with this system. And they got us running in circles. So I think we need to keep our eye on that. But we also need to make sure, like whether that's something like Susu or Juju or whatever it's called, where we do these inner group loans, where a group of people come together and loan each other money. They never go through the bank. The 6 of us get together and we outfit Vicky with $1,000 a piece. And then when we go back around in next month or whatever, we give Cori another $6,000. Right? Those kind of things. But I definitely believe with the brothers, got to start with that trust, and it's got to start with that group.
Absolutely.
And I want to say something too, to piggyback on what both of you were just saying. If we don't have the education behind it, the information behind it, we're going to lose. Because we'll start a business in a minute and don't have a piece of paperwork that says we have a business. So they giving $2 million away and we can't get 1 cent.
Let me put this right here. So like I said, Damany Head is with the Pontiac Regional Chamber. Let me just give my personal testimony about Damany Head, right? So I came to the Pontiac Regional Chamber, I guess about maybe 4 years ago, Damany.
Mm-hmm.
And I came when I just came back to Michigan, and I wanted to start, I had already started the book business, but I wanted to really delve into it and really just be more, astute and learn best business practices. And to make a long story short, I will say this. I have learned more about business from his coaching and how to sustain and grow my business than I think I could have anywhere else. And I mean, I will say that to anybody. And the Pontiac Regional Chamber cost me $99 a month, a year. And let me say this: when I first started with him, I couldn't even afford to pay $99. I couldn't even afford to pay $99 when we first started. So you know what he said? Okay, I need some work done. I said, cool, I'm good for work. I got plenty of ideas. So I would work for my $99 a year, right? But I'm gonna tell you that is the best $99 that I ever paid for anything. I mean that. So for anybody that and I don't know how much personal coaching that he does. I know he used to do personal coaching, but anybody that wants to grow your business, they're gonna have to have some patience because he don't talk fast. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He don't talk fast, so you're gonna have to have some patience. But if they bout it, this is the coach that they need. So anybody y'all know that needs personal business coaching, this is your guy right here. I mean that. This is your guy. Let me read what Lenore's saying very quick. Hey, JL. JL said people need to have business plans ready since money is available. What you say now? Put the ideas on paper to present to investors. Otherwise, it seems like you're just talking. No, otherwise, you are just talking. That reminds me. Excuse me, Zoe. Is something on in there? Did you leave the stove on? I do too. Come check it out, please.
Yeah.
We want to be in this house tomorrow, same time.
Hey, Vic, let me first say thank you, right? Really, I really appreciate it. And, there's no one who was a better receiver, right? Because sometimes you need a great receiver,
Mm-hmm.
right? To get the word. It's not just giving the word, it's who's going to take it and like ingest it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and, part of, I think what Cori was talking about earlier is really critical. It's like, there are these people who have been thinking about things and they document and they put them down on paper. And I think that's super critical. And I think one of the things that I'm really concerned about, and Vicky asked me this earlier, but I didn't say this piece, is if we're mining money digitally, right? So data, if we're mining money digitally, how valuable is paper money going to be in the next 25 to 30 years? Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? Like those things are like, I think we got to start again steeping ourselves in those conversations, because there's a playing field that's being built and then we're not even on it or around it.
And we don't want to be the
So,
last one to the party again.
No.
So this is your guy. This is your guy for any personal business coaching. I'm telling y'all that from my own experience. This is your guy right here. Honestly. Okay, so I hope y'all got what he said. I know I did. I'm always catching it. And thankful, very thankful for it. So any last word, Damany?
No, I'm happy to serve, man. I'm just, like I'm like a Dixie cup, man. Use me up, because at some point it expires,
Okay, I know what I want to say real quick. Let me say this, and then we move right into our next guest, and that's another brother from another mother. After I say this point here, it reminds me of something I heard. This being prepared for this money that J.O. is talking about, and other people that Damany mentioned earlier. We do know that, I heard, I don't know how many of you believe in prophets, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say also before I make this statement, that it is confirmation for a word that God had given me already. So it was confirmation when I heard this. But I'm gonna say this because he the man, because he's got track record, period. So one thing that Bernard Jordan said about this pandemic, if you don't know who Bernard Jordan is, out of New York City, you need to check him out, because he was talking about this pandemic in the 80s and wrote about it in the 80s in a book called Judgments, I think it's called, something like that. Current Judgments or something like that. But his name is Bernard Jordan, Prophet Bernard Jordan. My point is, he was talking about this in the 80s. And I'm telling you, if you go through the book, the pages of that book, stuff is falling just like he wrote it back in like 86, 87, 88, right? So one of the things that he said, which was confirmation to me, was that we're in a time that he said he doesn't see this pandemic really uplifting till about 2024. Yeah. And he said that, I know, wait, Tracy had the shift and Cori did one of these. He said that he didn't really see it lifting until about 2024, maybe late 2023. But what he did say was this. He said, but when it lifts, it is going to be at the optimum time for Black people in business. So he said the time that we have between here and now, you need to set yourself in the right place and be in the right space to be able to pull down some of these monies and resources that are going to become available. Now, what I sense is this, and I know that you all have seen this, it is the time where America is no longer hiding from the fact that they're racist asses and they're going to have to pay for it. They're going to have to fess up, and then they're going to have to fix it. Now, as oddly as it may seem, I also believe that it was the president that caused it, that pushed the situation to such a place that it's got to be dealt with. It's like the drunk uncle. I always tell this story, right? It's like the drunk uncle who comes to the cookout And at the cookout, he says something to this effect. Where's Bill at? Where Bill at? And they say, I don't know where Bill at. Y'all know where Bill at? No. Bill probably somewhere fucking that little girl. And everybody say, what? And he said, y'all know good and well Bill been messing with that little girl for years. Y'all know good and well he been messing with that child ever since that child was a baby. Why y'all? Everybody knew the little girl was being molested. Everybody knew that. Everybody had an idea, right? Everybody had heard the stories. Everybody had, turned their head and act like they didn't see something that didn't quite look too right. But when Uncle Bill came, when drunk uncle came to the cookout and said that shit out loud, now they got to deal with that. Now you can't put your head in the sand. You can't act like it never existed. No, you got to deal with that now. It could have been 15, 20 years. Ain't nobody said nothing about it. But once he said that shit out loud in front of everybody, now it's got to be dealt with. And I think that's where we is in terms of racism in our country. Now that it's come to a head, it's got to be dealt with. You can't hide from it no more. You can't stick your head in the sand no more. It's got to be dealt with it. And one way they're going to deal with it, I do believe, is they got to release some of that money that they know that we could have accomplished if systems weren't set up to make sure that we didn't get it, and the resources that were set up to make sure we didn't get it. So if you're in a place in terms of business, if you set yourself up in a place, then it takes me to the statement that I heard Debbie Allen say one day. But I don't know that she originated with her, but she said that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So if we're prepared, when it start rolling downhill, then we're going to be in a great place in 2024. A great place. It'll be a time. And then here's the other piece that just goes with the natural order of things. You ain't got to believe that, but you do know this. The natural order of things, I don't care how bad it gets. I don't care how dark it is. I don't care how much rain you get in the storm. I don't care how much wind you get in the storm. The sun will shine again. And when it does, it's extremely bright. You feel me? When it comes out, it's like, oh my God. It's like, you don't really appreciate it the way you appreciate it after that storm. So I think that's where we headed, and I think we need to be ready for it. Right? So
I guess we need to talk about what getting ready is next.
we need to talk about getting ready. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And we're going to let Damany Head help us with a lot of that, because we got to be in business. We have to, I do believe that we have to leave the labor force. Shit. We got to do that. We got to stop using, exchanging $1, an hour for $1. I do think that, unless it's your hour. You understand what I'm saying? As we build something that can run while we vacationing. Or at least doing something that looked like vacation. Does that make sense? So, okay. That's that. Thank you, Damany. I appreciate you. I would take my wrap off to you, but you don't want to see that.
Anytime.
All right. Y'all share the feed. And if you have not, anybody watching, if you've not liked or subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when we do something fancy. Because sometimes we just do something fancy, and you need to have that notification bell lit if you don't want to miss the fancy shit that we do. All right, moving right along. It is another brother from another mother. It is Brother Danelle. Brother Danelle is the brother who went to Gambia with us in February. Yeah, he went to the motherland with us. So Danelle is going to handle Nia meaning purpose. So Danelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I have felt like I've sat and had a good meal because everybody has given like something good. And it's so funny. Everybody's like, how am I going to follow that person? How am I going to follow that person? I kind of feel like that because it's just been a lot that has been said. And of course, from a preaching perspective, I got notes, but I'm probably not even going to use them. There's just so much stuff given. But anyway, purpose. I think people have addressed this earlier. I think Vicky was very specific on what she gave us all as individuals, because I think she felt it was our stronger suits. And so I am a purpose-driven person. And so let me start off by saying this. One of the things that I live by every day is living life with 3D purpose. And I just created a store, shameless plug right now. And live, L-I-V-V, stands for life is very valuable. And I'm a tired of seeing you guys. But one of the things I felt like God spoke to me a couple years back was life is very valuable. People are going to need to know that their life is very valuable. It's like 2018. He was also speaking to me at the time about entrepreneurship and multiple income streams, and thinking like a boss and not like an employee, which is another shirt that I created. And so I think it's very interesting that I'm able to kind of share some of this stuff with you guys now. So, but I live by the concept of life is very valuable, but also more importantly, that life has purpose, and we need to live life with and on purpose. I think for many of us, even we go back ancestrally, or even in our own individual DNA and history, we've been purposeless driven people. We've kind of done what we've seen done. We've kind of did what was acceptable. But I think one of the key things that we have to do in really understanding our true potential and purpose and living life with mission and destiny minded is to know that we have a purpose and we have a destiny. I think a lot of people don't even know that they're here for a reason. Something as simple as that, I think, is a starting point. And if we begin to tie all of the different things that I've heard everybody say, unity and dealing with financial different things or whatever, if we tie all this stuff together, we can do everything in the world. But if I'm a person who don't know what I'm called to do, what I'm destined to do, I don't have a purpose as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, then I'll end up nowhere fast. Let me speak on my third business that I've created. The first one, like somebody said earlier about paperwork. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know I'm supposed to do a business. I ain't consult nobody. I'm just running around like a madman. However, third time's a charm. I began to invest in people, invest in situations, giving money to people that told me I need to be as specific as why did I choose the colors I chose? What kind of vision am I putting out there? What's my target? So anyway, all of that to say, living and dealing with purpose or living by purpose is huge for us. As a people, I think Vicky or somebody else spoke it. You know, I too have been accused of not necessarily being fond of white people. And it's not that I don't like white people. I love white people. However, I'm hashtag B1, as Dr. Boyce would say, black first. I have had the opportunity to see us always be on the bottom in every category possible. So with that being said, I look at where we are today. And once again, I hope I'm not offending anybody. I am a spiritual dude. I tell people all the time I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. I don't walk around with the Jesus thing on my head. That's just not how I get down. However, when Vicky and I got back from Africa, we talk about this, I was clueless. We was 2 weeks with really no internet, no networks, no nothing. I didn't realize what was going on until I was at the grocery store. I'm like, why is it a line at Costco? I'm clueless. My point is, I got some one-on-one time. I was like, okay, what's going on? And one of the things I heard, and I want to say this to you guys, and it's really to echo and maybe confirm some things. One of the things I heard very strategically is reinvent yourself during this time, and that I'm leveling the playing field. And I knew that meant a promise to us as people, and that prepare ourselves. And I tell anybody who I talk to, if you are not driven by any type of purpose of understanding of who you are, and when you come out of this, let's say 2020, I know I heard you say 2024 with the prophetic word, but if you come out of this thing thinking you're going to go back into whatever the new is, the same, you're going to be sadly mistaken. So going back to purpose, if I could tie that back into purpose, everybody, is this. If I don't know who I am, if I don't know what my purpose is, then I'm going to end up just at a place. And I don't think as a community that we can afford that any longer. We are at the bottom of every category possible as a people. And we got to move past that. And so one of the things I've been empowering my own family, people that like-minded people who understand and grasp what it is that we should be moving towards. And like I said, I'm tying in a lot of what I've heard everybody else say as it pertains to purpose. Key is being able to share vision, like-minded vision, putting things out there, and then getting people to understand, like, this is what your strong suit is. I feel like your purpose is this. This is what I see you, being good at or whatever. Just dealing with your own family and just speaking like, and even with our friends, our comrades, the people that we call close, the same severe. Hey, you know what? I see you doing this, man, but I really think like you purpose in this because you thrive. I see you smile when you do this, whatever. A point is like knowing your purpose is huge. And like I said, I feel like as a people, we we were engrafted into this non-identity. And one of the things I saw in Africa every day, and I'll share this with Vicky, is I watch group economics working every day with some people who didn't have a whole lot. And I was like, my God, these people are making things happen, and they don't have half of what we have. And then I kind of got disappointed, almost discouraged, because I'm like, I'm watching this in full play. We're descendants of these people, but we can't even get along at home. And so I came back to California with two mindsets. Number one, that I would never complain again. And number two, that I would begin to practice the very principles that I saw, that I feel like we were robbed of, because our history it doesn't date back there. So all of that to say this, y'all. It is so important that we understand who we are. I'm gonna give you guys a quote that I wrote years ago, and it's actually my voicemail, if you ever caught. And I wanna kind of piggyback off of that. But it says, never be content with someone else's definition of you. Instead, define yourself by your own truths, by your own beliefs, your own morals, your own personal convictions, and your unique understanding of who you are and how you've come to be. Never be content or comfortable until you're absolutely ecstatic in who God, the Creator, has destined you to be from the very day of your conception. And the reason I wrote that, and the reason that was on me so hard, is because I am a purpose. This is what I do every day. I teach. I'm a life coach. I teach people about purpose and what it is. What is your life about? What does your life mean? What do you want to do? What can you see yourself doing in 5 years? And so being happy with you starts first. I tell people, when you understand your yes, you know when to say no. I've been in the corporate situation where I worked my way up to the top. And when I got to the top, it was 2 more ladders. I know about somebody who talked about that early in the conversation. Once again, driven by one of the shirts I created, I'm no longer thinking like an employee. I'm thinking like a boss. Why? Because I understand that my purpose is bigger than working for somebody in corporate America. And another thing I think we all need to understand is that, and this is no downplay to people who are doing a 9 to 5. I don't want to make it seem like the 9 to 5 is wrong. However, the whole mentality that we work to retire so that we die, I never grasped. And so in understanding that our purpose goes far beyond just us working a job or getting a degree to work a job, but not necessarily fulfilling our full potential. And I can't stress enough that when we understand that we have a purpose and a destiny, then I think we can go pretty far. So you asked 3 things, and I'll start with the first thing you said. You said, how can we see, or do we see the principles, and I will use the principle of purpose practice in our everyday communities? And I would say yes. It's practiced in a lot of ways and areas. It's like in situations like we're doing now, having conversations, having small conversations, having motivational chats or whatever. I see it in operation. It's not in a broader scale, although I think it's getting a lot larger than it has been in the past. But it's with a lot of like-minded people coming together. And I think as a people, we've gotten to the place where we get that it's our time. I don't think anybody in this conversation right now does not feel that it's our time. It is our time, and there's a promise. If we pull away from the white version of Christianity that a lot of us was taught, there's a promise, and our time is coming. And so you ask the question, do I see it? I absolutely see it in practice. And like I said, this is one of several communities that I'm about or a part of, where we talk about practical things and things that we can do to better our community and better ourselves. And then I think the second thing you said was, how can we put this into practice? And what I would say as it pertains to purpose is, anytime you have knowledge, practical application is now your knowledge being put forth. And the best thing that we could ever do is bring our family along, bring our communities along, and really start with ourselves in knowing that there is something that we're supposed to bring to whatever table. And if I know that what I bring to the table is great, it's good, and I'm really not waiting on you to tell me that it's good, because I have that understanding of who I am as a person, and I'm driven by purpose. Then when I bring that to whatever table, then it's well received. But I think that one of the key things that we've seen, and I think somebody said this, so I don't want to repeat, is that we don't share the wealth. We don't share the knowledge. We don't share what we have. And I've been driven for the last few years, still with Powernomics, Dr. Claude Alexander, I can name a whole bunch of people, but being driven with the understanding that, man, if we bring our coins together, we can do some things. And being able to share that knowledge and understanding with one another helps us all to determine our purpose, or to discover, our purposes. So last but certainly not least, the way we put this into place, we literally take this and we share the wealth with it. We get people to understand that they do have a purpose. And the way I'm going to do this personally, because I think it's the last thing you mentioned, is I'm driven by entrepreneurship. I'm driven by legacy, but most importantly, I'm driven by mission-filled destiny. And I think when you do that, that's to me the true definition of understanding and knowing your purpose. And when you know your purpose, you can fully walk in it. And unequivocally, unapologetically, right? When you don't know that, you'll find yourself in a lot of different arenas and avenues, but not really knowing what you truly, what I'll say, y'all use the word destined to do and or be. So with that being said, purpose is huge. And for us to understand and discover our purpose, to me, it's life changing. And if we can do that as individually, then when we start sharing that with like-minded people, like I said, our babies, our family members, and they get it, we're able to articulate it to the point that they get it. As a people, we have no choice but to move forward. So yeah,
you said when you know your purpose, you know what?
Earlier when I said when you understand your yes, you know when to say no.
No. Just now you made a statement. When you know your purpose.
When you know, I don't know, Vicky. That okay. Let me go to the.
I'm sorry. Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. Don't let me get you jammed up. Let me ask you this. Oh, and Tracy, I got a question for you. She may not be here anymore, but somebody sent me a question for you on Messenger. I want to make sure I ask you that before we go. But Danelle, what about the person what would you say to the person who says, because I get this a lot. What would you say to the person that says, I don't really know my purpose though? Give me a practical or some practical tips. Share with our listeners some practical strategy for a person who doesn't know, who don't feel what their purpose is, and they want to know what their purpose is so that they can move in the right direction. Practical tips.
Got you. Well, let me share a little bit of and I'll answer that. One of the cool things, I'm a coach, athletic coach. I know Vicky and Sonny knows, but I'm an athletic coach by nature. And one of the coolest things about being a coach is you're able to mold people's creativity. You're able to pull out the best in them. And so what I would give is a practical way for people, because I get that question too, Vicky, all the time. Is I tell people, most of the time you're already operating your purpose and you just don't realize it. Certain things we're naturally attracted to, certain things we naturally desire, certain things we naturally don't like, certain things we're naturally good at, but we don't realize it's part of our purpose, really our destiny on our road to our full mastery of our purpose. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say is the things that we tend to be drawn to the most is the beginning of listening and saying, well, dang, why do I like drawing so much? Or why do I have an affinity for writing? Or why am I the one that's always critiquing the food when we go out to eat? All of these different things are pretty much, I would say, God-given characteristics or God-given kind of nuggets or drops that allow us to know, okay, it's a reason I'm being drawn to this specific thing or this particular situation, or I'm artsy and I didn't know it, or, like I'll use my niece, for example. We did not know the girl could draw until she was like a teenager. She had these just books and books of things that she had drawn. We didn't know, but we were giving her books, but we didn't. What do you call them? Sketchbooks. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know that we were actually speaking to her potential, her future, but mm-hmm. we were. And so that's what I would say. That's really how I answer a lot of people that I talk to about when they say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm thinking, well, let's think about what you like and you don't like. And I tend to pull that out of them through just conversation of, and it's like, oh, I never thought, but yeah, I do like this, or mm-hmm. I have done this, but I just kind of do this second nature. I'm like, that's part of your purpose. I don't know if that answers the question. But.
Yeah. I'm loosely quoting you. What do you do? What do you do second nature? Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me read this back real quickly. I think that's good information. So it says, Danelle on NIA or on NIA, to know your purpose, find out what are you drawn to the most? What are you most attracted to? What are you good at? What do you do? What do you do second nature? What do you second nature is the point. I remember Pastor Joyce said this. I was probably 15 years old, but I'll never forget it. and I tell people this all the time when they say to me, I don't know, but I don't know what my purpose is. He said, think back to what you used to do when you were approximately 5 years old and you were in a room alone and your parent may have said something to you like, go in your room and play. When your parents said that, it meant get out of their face. They didn't want to be bothered with you. What did you do in your own time without prompting, without pulling, without just your own will? What did you do the most? What did you like to do? And when I thought back to that, I remember as a kid, I like to play school. But I had to be the teacher though. I couldn't be the student. I wasn't playing if I couldn't be the teacher. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would. I mean, that's what I was most comfortable with. I wanted to be the one at the board. And they's like, "Well, it's my turn to be a teacher." I said, "But you're not gonna be good at it. It's my turn." That's what I like to do. So it was a very clear indication as to what my purpose was, because even though I'm not in the classroom right now, my classroom is growing. It's no longer within four walls inside of a building.
Right.
It's growing. It's growing. So yeah, that's what I remember when I finally left my job as a teacher. My husband said, he was getting confused. He said one time, I don't even know what to tell people. I don't even tell them what you do. What do you do? I said, what do I do? I'm a teacher, but I'm a communal teacher. I'm a worldwide teacher. I'm not just a teacher in a classroom with kids that were designated to me.
Right.
I'm a community teacher. He said, oh, well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it, baby. That's what I do, So I think that's good information. Kids first. Mr. Richard Bell said, hello, Mr. Head. Are you in your office tomorrow? Mr. Richard, he says yes, that he is in his office tomorrow. Yeah. So thank you, Danelle. That's great. You have any final words?
Oh my God, I didn't even let me say this. So living life with 3D purpose. If I can give this to you guys, the 3D is dedicated, driven, and determined. And I'm sorry, that's at the very beginning of my paper. Like I said, I just kind of went off. And so I literally live my life that way. I'm dedicated to whatever I do. And I'll share a little bit of this, just my testimony as far as my vision. I learned as I got older, I used to overcompensate for my visual impairment by trying to be perfect in everything that I do. But then I learned that there was a difference between perfection and excellence. So everything that I do is in excellence. And so that is my perfection, my level of perfection. So being dedicated to what you do, being driven to do whatever it is that you do. What are you driven by? And then being determined. Nothing can deter you from getting to whatever it is, your potential goal, destiny, or whatever the task is at the time. So living life with 3D purpose, being dedicated, driven,
living life through purpose.
3D purpose.
3D purpose. Living life in 3D 3D means living purpose.
With 3D purpose. With 3D purpose.
Oh, okay. With 3D purpose. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, being dedicated.
Okay, yep. Okay, so before I put that out there and mess it up, I'm gonna hold it for a second. Okay, so Mr. Richard Bell says he has a question. Richard, please ask your question. Let us know what it is. Living life with 3D purpose. Purpose, dedication, and wait.
Being dedicated, driven, and determined.
And determined, not destined, determined.
Determined.
Love it. Love it.
That's a t-shirt, by the way, shameless plug.
Yeah, I just put your website in there.
Looks good.
It's a long one, but it's in there. It's a long piece, but it is in there though.
Thank you.
Dedicated, driven, and determined. Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Anybody want to speak to that or have a question for Danelle?
Please.
Danelle, how did you decide to go to the motherland?
It was a bucket list and it was a life goal. And I'm telling you, Vicky can chime in on this. The way it came to her and the way she came at me it was crazy. She had I'm sure we had talked about it over the years. Long story short, it just worked out. Every man, when we tell you that everything that could happen, try to stop it, but it all came together like right as it was supposed to, and we was on that plane. It was amazing. So it was a bucket list. It was something I wanted to go with Sonny. Sonny's gone several times. When Vicky went back in the day to South Africa, I wanted to go, but obviously being in education, being a coach, like my I just didn't have the time. And then I raised my sister's kids, and so I had 2 boys, and I just couldn't get away. And so it was the perfect storm, for lack of a better term. And it was a bucket list. And I'm telling you, it was, man. My teams got together and did fundraisers and gave me money. I was in the kitchen cooking, like Sonny said earlier. I was putting it down. I was in the kitchen for weeks, but we got it done. So bucket list fulfilled. So, and definitely go back. So sorry for that long answer. It was too long.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Richard, I just sent you the link so you can ask your question. I got room. You can come on in and ask your question if you like, and if not, then you can put it in the chat. So I think that we lost. Let me double check, but I think that we lost our Kumba person, and that's okay. Kumba and Imani both, but I will speak to that very quickly, and we will continue. I'm so thankful that y'all are hanging out. I know y'all getting a little tired because y'all old.
I'm on the West Coast. I'm 3 hours behind.
Look, because I know if I wasn't talking, I'd be like, oh. We were being from I was looking at this movie last night, y'all. It's on Netflix too. Y'all might like it if you really into reggae and stuff. It's a really good movie. It's called it's actually a part of a series, and that chick that played T'Challa's sister is in one of them. It's interesting. Oh, wow. It's called Small Acts. So small acts, like small acts, reggae acts, right? So it's like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes, but they're all their own stories. They're not connected. They're their own stories. So one of them is about these young people that go to this party. Me and Mara used to love reggae, right? We still do, but we don't party like we used to. Also I said, I watched the movie the other night. I said, you might want to watch it. I said, but this, I promise you, when I got through watching this hour, I think about an hour and a half. I said, when I got through watching this movie, I swear I was wore out and I was high. And what? Because it was so realistic. It was like one of those slice of life movies, right? But I remember we were looking at it last night, and I said, "That's that young shit, ain't it?" Famar said, "Hell yeah," because I'd be in the corner asleep by now. He said, "I'm too old for that shit. I'd be in the corner asleep by now." Oh, awesome. Okay, Kumba is here. Kuumba is here. So, Kuumba, can you get in? Follow the link. I'll send it to you again. Here it is right here. You can click on that link and then join us. We are waiting on you. This has been a blessing, honestly. I was having I swear I was having Kwanzaa withdrawals. So
Vicky, did you have a question for me?
Yes. Thank you, Tracy. I got that Apple Jack Daniels. I can't hardly get it together, Bookie. All right, yep, I do. Let me see what it is. Daniel, come on in. I'm ready to admit you. Okay, so this question for Tracy from Cincinnati. There she is. It says, why do us as Blacks want to steal someone else's dream and not put in the work ourselves? This is a big problem amongst our Black people. Can you speak to that, Tracy?
Why do Blacks want to steal each other's dreams?
This is a big problem in the Black community or among Black people.
Because it's easier. I think I spoke to that earlier. It's easier for somebody to lay the foundation and do all of the brain work, and you just walk away with the plans. It's just like if a architect draws everything out on paper and shows you how to build it, you just steal the plans and go build it. That might be his only copy, and you walked away with it, and now you're building the house.
This ain't. We probably see it like that because we're in the Black community. When you think about it, though, that ain't Black community. That's how this whole damn country was built on somebody else's work. While they sit back and ride, on the benefit of it. Yeah. It's not a no. I can say it's not a Black thing. It's the way things are done in a capitalistic system.
Well, it's just like the Black.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, you said that white folks work together.
They ride on us. Yeah, they write off our work. Yeah, we put in the work. They
Okay, I
sat
see what
back
you're
and let us
saying.
do it. And then
I see what you're
as the
saying.
money and the resource came in after, then they took it and pocketed it. So she's saying that black folks want to ride off of other black folks' abilities and their work. And I'm saying that that's the way of this capitalist system that we live in. That's what they do. So they doing what they saw somebody else do, honestly. Because I tell you one thing, down there in Gambia, De Niro, ain't nobody gonna ride on nobody else. Everybody out, every man for himself.
Absolutely. Industrious people.
Yeah, very industrious and not a lazy bone in their body. I could once I saw that, I could really understand why my husband was who he was. I was like, he's not the only one with ADHD. Everybody got ADHD.
Right.
It's
Right.
in the water, you know.
I think it goes back to going, if I could go with purpose, I think people are purposeless, but I think it's always this thing where it seems like, oh, black on black crime. Well, that's white on white crime, but they ain't gonna never put it on TV. There's Asian, it's always inter-community stuff going on, but it's our stuff is always highlighted. But it goes back to, like you said, this is the system that they want to say is broke. I'm like, the system ain't broke. It is working perfectly. It was the way it was designed
for somebody else.
Man.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Tracy, for answering that. Miss Cook, I hope you got that. I'm not sure she's still with us, but she can look at it later. I just want to make sure I got it in for you. Miss Danny B.
Hi.
Hello, my dear.
Hello.
Miss Danny has agreed to come and talk with us a little bit about Kaumba, which is creativity.
Awesome.
What you got, boo?
What I got, boo? I was kind of excited when you sent that, and I was like, oh my God, I got to talk in front of people. So wait, my first issue is, why am I yellow? I don't understand what's happening.
I don't know, but I love it. I thought it was a filter.
Like, why is my kitchen yellow? I don't know what.
You know what I was thinking? I was like, she's so damn cool.
Ah, there you go. So I did it on purpose. Okay. So I was kind of excited, but just for the record, I am terrible at talking in front of people. So I did my notes, right? And I did, I went down your text message to answer each question.
Okay.
So I did, but then I'm going to go all off base because I just talk in circles. So the first thing I did was I looked for a quote. I thought of my favorite poet / authors. And the first one I got was Maya, of course. Can't do anything without Maya. And she said, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have.
Wow.
But the first actual thing that came to mind was Rumi. Rumi's one of my favorites. And he said, there's an artist in all of you. You just don't know it. And so then I moved to the next question. I'm thinking all of this is intertwined. So the principle of Kaumba is creativity. And it kind of went beyond artistic expression, right? I had to go back to my my African-American social class from college to kind of refresh myself, because I knew that it's not just about painting or drawing or dancing. Vicky obviously threw me under the bus for this one, because I am one of those artsy people. I'm glad you mentioned that, Danelle. I thought that was funny. The artsy fartsy and the drawing and the filling up books of drawings. But most of the time when we think of creativity, it is along the lines of art and music and writing and dance. And so, of course, to your question number 2, do you see that reflected in our community? Absolutely. We're like one of the most creative cultures. Everybody's imitating what we create.
Whoops, I'm gonna be on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But the question of whether that is being used to benefit the community is another question. So there's no doubt that we do it, but how it's being used is still up for grabs. And so the principle itself is to, and yes, I have notes everywhere, so I'm just going to keep reading from side to side, to do as much as you can, the way that you can, and leave the community better than you found it. Is like at the core of the creativity. So
wait, say that again. Do as much as you can.
The way that you can to leave the community better than you found it. And so it's not just about painting pictures, obviously. But there's a couple of things, and I have I'm going to go to my other little, not necessarily quote, but just to read through this. So going back to, we do aesthetic beauty, right? So we know the color, the music, dancing, and what that produces and how we enjoy that. And, you know, it plugs into energy and life and just, again, making things and making things better. Mm-hmm. Then there's the influence of art that, let's say, opens minds. It educates people, it expands. And even then there's sort of a deeper, for me, being artsy, there was a deeper connection for art. I wrote this paper in philosophy of art years ago. And one of the correlations that I made was to talk about my great-grandmother, but it was about beauty and art. And I wrote that into how her beauty and how art is a reflection of God. Mm-hmm. And that's what creativity is really about, is activating the divine in you. It is when you use that creative, when you are creating, you're using that divine energy. God spoke, he formed us, he made us, he breathed air into us. And so the same power that was used to create us is still in us. And that is, for me, the portion that is the portion or the power that you can use to make that principle active, right? So you don't have to be an artist. Everybody will usually say, I've heard a lot of people say to me anyway, I'm not artsy. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't know how to draw. But if you take it from the core principle of Kumba, it is to do more than that, right? It is, if you do those things, that's great. Do them in a way that will benefit other people around you, that will bring joy, that will uplift, that will be lasting. But the idea is to do something that will be sustainable and benefit everyone. I read another little quote that said something like to create is to donate to the future. Like, what are you leaving? What do you know, how is it benefiting? And so I'm forgetting my points because I'm extremely nervous, but
got some really good points though.
But the point was that to get to the core of what what creativity was, and it wasn't just to paint and dance. I was an art major, so I painted and I drew and I danced and I didn't dance at college, don't tell anybody, but I built things and I bake, and that's my own, probably my favorite form of creation. I also make things. But what I go to the most and what I use daily is baking and cooking. And to pay homage to the ancestors, one of the reasons I do that is because my great-grandmother was a baker. Well, actually, all of them were, but one in particular. And I didn't realize until I was writing some of this down that she was activating this Kwanzaa principle before there was a Kwanzaa, right? Wow. So she was using everything she had to benefit everybody around her. And a lot of it happened to be creative. Now, it wasn't just, she was nice and she was kind and she was a woman of faith, but she made hair grease and she did hair, you know, she was pressing hair in the living room. She made hair supplies. She was Madam C.J. Walker in Detroit. She made pies, she made cakes, and she baked and she fed people. And she was doing this just to do it. Right? She eventually started making money from it because people started to pay her to do it, but she was doing it to care for other people, and she was doing something to leave to other folks to show. And so I took some of that from her, not really knowing. And so my way of, I think your question number 4 or 5 was, how do you personally apply it? And I personally apply it by trying to keep that alive, by using her recipes, by baking her recipes, by feeding people. Because that is one of my, what would you do when people just left you alone when you were little? I'd like, I want to go bake some cookies. Now, other than needing oven supervision, I wanted to be in the kitchen or I was going to go paint something. So that was my thing. And backtracking to your other question, which was how can we apply it in our community? Probably a couple of ways.
Okay.
So, sharing whatever it is that we do. So again, if it doesn't have to be an aesthetic art or something aesthetically creative, but anything that comes out of you that you can give and share with somebody else, whether it's in your family or in the neighborhood, those are things that will benefit us collectively. One of, again, back to my grandma. So she's my inspiration for most things. She told me that she got up every morning and she would ask God to make her a blessing to somebody today.
Oh, wow.
And I was really shocked when she said this, but this woman lived to be 97. So she was doing something right. And I would say that that would be a challenge if you want to find a way to make this principle active in your life. That is one way to do that, is say, how can I bless somebody today? I don't care if it's, a glass of water, a prayer, a hug, some shoes, a batch of cookies, like whatever that thing is, just encouragement. And so that would be my, my thought for how do we spread this? How do we put this at work, especially in the coming year? And in the middle of the crazy and the chaos, is just bless other people. And remember, again, that ties into probably everything everybody said, but one of the earlier statements of not keeping it to yourself, right? Not being selfish, whatever it is, giving. She also lived by this principle of always having her hand open. She was always giving stuff away. And that leaves you open to receive as well. But the moral of that was just bless everybody with that. And remember that your creative energy, whatever that is, Danelle, I know you write, Sonny writes, I believe too, like everybody on here has some sort of creative thing, writing, reading, singing, dancing. But again, doesn't have to be aesthetic. It just has to be from that source that created you. And whatever you give, that will be a blessing. And that will help to build all of this, kind of all of the principles. I see how they're all tied now. All of that's connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, that's good.
Oh, I was going to share a recipe, both in the spirit of sharing and because Vicky, I thought about it and I was like, I'm going to share one of my grandma's recipes, but I don't know that the guys want my grandma's muffin recipe.
I do make some apple banana bread the other day.
Right here.
Me too. Bring it.
So listen, Mary Holmes, just so you know, my great granny that I love so much was like,
Whoa, Mary.
yes,
Wait, Mary Holmes.
Are we related, Danelle? Is that what you want to tell me?
We need to talk about. Yeah, we need to talk.
You owe me some money. One of the two looked like you leaned up.
That's my great grandmama. What?
Wait, I know all the kids, unless there's some secrets. It might be some secrets. I'm kidding.
No, I'm sorry. No, where?
She's
from?
Where's she from? Tennessee, but they, of course, were part of the migration, so they moved here.
Okay.
She lived in Detroit.
How did you not? Okay, maybe I was gonna say 20 years ago, but let me tell you. I'll finish about grandma before you tell me you're my cousin, right? so Granny,
you already got this recipe, Danelle. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. She already made these for you. Is that what you trying to say?
I know Mary. No,
you might know one. Well, I'm surprised you don't know the Browns, but that's a whole nother monkey show. So Grandma Holmes, and this will probably explain a lot of things, was 4'10", 4'9".
Is that the one? Is that the one that lived in Detroit?
Yeah, she lived in Detroit.
Okay.
So that's where I get this from. Oh, I forgot to change my name. I was supposed to change my name on here to Short and Sweet, but that's okay. Shameless plug. Because that's my side business.
That's right. Let me put that down. It's www.shortandsweet, right?
Shortandsweetdetroit.com.
Okay.
And so Grandma baked, like I said, she baked for the neighborhood, she baked for the churches, she baked for everybody. And my granddaddy, when he was out of work, they had this sort of, so they lived over on the north end, which is part of where Black Bottom used to be, right? Like all that got shaved over or plowed over. Mm-hmm. But in that little community, there was all kinds of little stuff. And she would just bake pies for the neighborhood. She baked pies for people. So whenever there wasn't work, my grandfather would take her things around and deliver them. And he became known as the pie man on the North End because he was pulling up, dropping off granny pies all over, all over the neighborhood. So just side story, because I thought it was adorable. But so she used to make these little muffins, and I will share it with you. I don't know how to share it on the screen. I was just going to type it. It's not that much stuff. I was going to type it into the comments. But these yummy little muffins, they're just really basic. It's oil and milk and flour, but they're like a little egg muffin. But she would put on them her homemade preserves because she grew strawberries, of course. Like, what else would this Wonder Woman not do? And she would make preserves from fresh berries and peaches or whatever she had. So I will share this with you because it's super yummy. I can't share the preserve recipe because my grandma's jam. but I will share these, and then you could definitely slather whatever you like on them. Also, her waffle recipe is on the back of there. So sidebar. But I'll give you those. Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
That was a tangent. But yeah, so there's my Kumba segment.
That's beautiful. So if you will email me the recipe, I can make sure they have it. You want to do it like that?
I can. It's really so simple. I don't know why I just didn't type it in here. Okay. I had to turn off.
Go ahead. I'll type while you talk.
No, I had to turn off YouTube. I probably could have typed it over there. I had to turn that off while I did
type
this.
it. Go ahead. Tell me.
So, oh, you're gonna put it down for real? Okay, 2 cups of flour, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of bacon. I'm sorry.
2 cups of flour, teaspoon of salt,
teaspoon of baking salt.
No. A tablespoon of baking powder. Half a cup of sugar. Sorry, I was reading too fast.
Right, everything separately. It's gonna be.
Because I tried to.
I said I could put it in there.
Don't worry, they're gonna see all the ingredients one after one. Go ahead.
A half a cup of sugar.
They're gonna know exactly what it is because it's the ingredients. It couldn't be anything else. Go ahead.
Lord have mercy. A half a cup of oil. 3 eggs and a cup of milk.
See?
Not hard. And if anybody that bakes, you already know you're going to mix the dry stuff and then the wet stuff. That's it. And these are drop muffins. So it's like a quick bread. You don't want to over whip it because it'll make them rubbery, right? So just do it. They might even be a little lumpy, but just do it. And then you bake them at 375 for about 30 minutes or until they're perfectly golden. And then slather them with molasses or whatever yumminess you want to put on there. I'm thinking of stuff Granny would do. So
okay, so what's her name again?
Mary Holmes.
Mary Holmes.
Apparently Danelle and I are cousins. After all this time, we didn't know it. We did not. Oh, here's a little creative sidebar, total sidebar. Right.
All right, it's just upside down. Y'all start with Mary Holmes drop muffins and then go 2 cups of flour.
So this was my grandma's Bible of recipe, one of them anyway. Like she had lots of stuff, but this book is like 60 years old. It has no cover. I love this. But when I got it after she died about 11 years ago. So I cleaned out the kitchen and I get stuff. And just so you know, I was serious about my thing. I find this in there. Can you see this?
You're drawing. It's yours.
I colored these, and she had them in her freaking cookbook.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know how old I was. But like my grandma kept these crayon colorings.
You should make them the cover of that book.
I was just going to say, now you need to press that book and make those the cover.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I was like, I just love this so much. So I just thought that was adorable.
You got to publish that, even if you publish it for yourself.
Yeah, we'll give you the tips on publishing. We got you.
I do want to do a cookbook. And so I started doing one. I don't know if Vicky will help me with that. I started doing one that was grandma's recipes and then my modern take on some of the recipes she used to make.
That's good.
So
no, hey, let me know. I got a book but that's like my 5th one. It's called Cooking with Coach D.
Are you serious?
That's cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cousins.
That's cool.
We are cousins, right? We didn't know this in college. We should have known that a long time ago.
Right.
So Daniel, that was beautiful.
Oh, I'm glad because I'm a nervous wreck and I'm drinking scotch now. Cheers. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, where my libation?
That was
You
beautiful.
got a cup
Honestly.
of water, Sonny. Do you have another cup
I got
of
a
water?
bottle of water.
So this is one of let me just share this real quickly. This is
And I'm not yellow anymore. I don't know what happened.
Oh, you got up to go get grandma's cooking book and it bounced it back.
Okay.
maybe grandma just fixed the
Hey,
That was your grandmama's aura that was in the room with you.
hello.
Boom.
there you
Hello.
go.
There you go.
That's just visited the conversation. Let's go.
Hello.
Yeah. Danelle started bringing up that money. She said, "Uh-oh, look who here, crazy horse." She got out
Right.
of here.
Silly.
Oh, I didn't know Danelle was gonna be on here.
Oh my God.
So this is one of the poems, shortest poems for my itty bitties during Kwanzaa. It's by Bill T. Jones. I can make something out of nothing. I can clap my hands and make magic. Mr. Bill T. Jones.
Yeah, that's what's up.
That's what's up. All right, so listen, you all have been fabulous. There was one more person and she didn't show, so I'm going to wrap this up very quick. And it is the final and last day, the last and final day of Kwanzaa, which is Imani, meaning faith.
Mm.
Right? I'm going to make this short and sweet. Here's the real deal. I am a woman of faith. Right? One example of that faith in action is what we're doing right now. This is something that I have been envisioning in terms of taking and teaching and learning about moving Kwanzaa into a 365 progress of 365 days a year as opposed to 1 day a year. I know that, like I said earlier, Sonny and I and some more of my family have talked about in detail how can we make this happen. The first 3-4 years we did Kwanzaa, we talked about, and that was it. We gotta do more than this. We gotta do more than this, and that's what it was. Just kind of like a burning in my spirit and theirs, but not knowing how to move it forward. But since then, we have created several things that have allowed us to move it forward. One of those things, and probably the one that I'm most proud of, is the Black Dollar Power Market, because it has allowed us to, and of course, we have Touray Family Enterprises, but that would have happened without anything that I desired because it was already in existence. But the Black Dollar Power Market, I won't talk a lot about it, but you all know that it's given us the opportunity to make a space for Black businesses to continue. Another thing that I feel very happy about, I believe it didn't come out of it, but aligned with us very quickly, is the camping trip. That camping trip is nurturing for us. It really is. And everybody on this screen right now, with the exception of Danelle, is going on that camping trip this year. So Danelle, you better get your damn ticket. Get on up here and go camping with us.
If we're able to go, right?
Well, you know what? Last year they were saying we couldn't go, and we did go. We were very careful. We went and we had a wonderful time. So hopefully
How come I wasn't there?
You had something going on, or it may have been that we didn't have enough cabins. That's what it was. When you said you wanted to, we didn't have enough cabins. This year,
yes, because you sent me my money back.
Yep. This year, those who went were at the office scheduling for next year before I was there. I said, so y'all already, come on up. We up here making our plans,
Yeah, you told me that.
So that's another thing that have come out, not out of it, but aligned with us in a way that we can.
I have my cabin now, please?
Oh, I got you straight down. Don't worry about it.
Cabin now.
I got you. Also with the Pontiac Regional Chamber, we've been able to align with them and do some things as well, that collaborate with them that we just weren't able to do before. So I can see this thing coming into fruition, and I just know it's only going to get better. So you are a living example of my faith, walking and talking in progress. So I appreciate you. You are helping me to do the damn thing. That's it. Thank you.
I want to share one thing. I'm also promoting a retreat I'm a part of, a Sankofa, and I'm going to put it in the box down at the bottom. It is a 4-day international online retreat that deals with the pandemic, that deals with the politics of 2020, that deals with the police brutality, and it deals with the church. It's kind of like what it's called. Hindsight is 2020. 4 different speakers, 2 of them from Kenya, 2 of them from here in the States. It'll be online on Zoom. It'll be really interactive. It'll be free. So if you want to check, you got some questions, let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. January 26th, 30th, February 6th and 13th.
You're going to put the information in the box, though, right?
I put the link to the website there. So.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Wait, I don't see it. Because I'm in StreamYard. I'm not on.
No, I'm in StreamYard too. Look at it now.
On the right.
Okay, I have my comments. Got it.
Okay. Okay. So if there aren't any parting words, I'm gonna read this last piece, and we're gonna be out of here. But I just want y'all to know how much I appreciate you all, and I want you to know how much I love you, because I really do. Each and every one of you, I really, really love you, and I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful to that I have each of you to speak into my life, and to empower me, to teach me, and to support me. I really appreciate you. I know that this is a blessing. I know it don't come often. I know it's a whole bunch of folk out there that wish they had some friends like you. So I'm just very thankful for you, and some family like you. So I'm very thankful for you. Any parting words? Let me know. Say what you want to say. I'm gonna read the benediction on the way out.
Danelle, get in touch with me. Danelle, get in touch with me offline.
Right, we need for sure. Trace us back to we homes for real.
Damany, you want to put your information in the box for anybody who might be looking for business coaching?
Oh, sure.
Or want to join the chamber?
Do you coach people that aren't in Pontiac? Because I ain't driving in Pontiac.
Yeah.
No, I coach everybody. So
I was going to say
London.
I just call Vicky when I don't know what else to do. I just call Vicky.
Yeah, but I ain't got it like he got it. I swear for God.
I just call Vicky.
I ain't got
it every time.
Put my information in the chat. But
okay.
First call is always on me. So if you want to chat, just give me a call.
Awesome.
But Vic, I just the one thing I'll leave with when I was born in Michigan, lived a large portion of my life up until recently in New York, and when I had the opportunity to come to Detroit, I was like, this is going to be the most meaningful portion of my life, and then I'm going to do something historic, and fulfilling the dream, has always been with me. I had an opportunity to go to Ohio Northern University, and I always wondered why I was there until I found a speech from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was on the same grounds I was. And I was like, how did he end up there? And it goes the chaplain and him went to seminary school together. And so he invited him to Ohio Northern, Ada, Ohio, which is outside Lima, just south of Toledo. And one of his last speeches he gave there. And, it's online if you want to check it out, but it's very clear.
I thought you was going to read it or something.
Huh?
I thought you was going to read it.
No, I'm not reading that whole speech. Anyways, but,
Not no pieces of it either?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I got you. But I want to say, just being around you guys in this conversation is just more evidence of a future, that he left behind for us to fulfill. And I'm ecstatic about that. And, Coach D was like, it's Coach D, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about enthusiasm. I'm like, we're all born with 100% enthusiasm. There was no off switch for enthusiasm. And so, I'm ready to, ignite the world in that. So.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Vic.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to say it's paramount that like-minded people, connect. There's an energy, there's a strength, there's a unity that is pivotal for now. And I'm telling you, those of us that get the vision and understanding of what we are called to be as a people, it's like we're Moseses, if I can use that very bad grammar. But it's time. And it's heard a lot of stuff. And if y'all was raised in church like me, we've been hearing Jesus come back forever. But it's time. It's like time is of the essence. And so things like this that are very uniquely coming together are no longer going to be, oh wow, look at what happened. It's going to be like, oh yeah, we did it again. And I really believe that divine connections and things like this has to happen because we as a people, I was going to say we'll get to the promised land, quote Martin Luther King, but it's our time. And so yeah, just I want to encourage that and just be driven by purpose, like literally driven by purpose. Because
all right, so I'm gonna break you up because she wanted me to read part of the speech, so I'm gonna do it.
Let's go.
All right.
He's like, hello, speech.
So it says, I want to try to discuss with you today some of the issues surrounding that struggle is taking place not only in our nation, but all over the world. Victor Hugo said on one occasion that there's no greater power in all the world than an idea whose time has come. In a real sense, the idea whose time has come is the idea of freedom and justice, and that is a freedom explosion all over the world. This struggle has been taking place in our own country for a number of years now. I want to talk about that struggle, and I want to talk about the future of integration. That is a desperate, very poignant question on the lips of thousands and millions of people all over our nation and all over the world. They are constantly asking whether we are making any real progress in the areas of race relations. I get this question a great deal myself from people and from the press and from concerned individuals. I think in answering the question, we have to avoid, on one hand, superficial optimism. On the other hand, we must avoid deadening pessimism because a superficial optimism says in substance that the problem is about solved now and we really don't have much to do, while deadening pessimism tends to conclude that the problem cannot be solved and that we've only made minor strides in the struggle for racial justice. I would much prefer following what I consider a realistic position which combines the truths of two opposites while avoiding the extremes of both. The realistic position would agree with optimism that we have made some meaningful strides, but it would also agree with some aspects of pessimism and recognizing that we still have a long, long way to go. It is this realistic position that I would like to use as the basis for our thinking together. We have come a long, long way, but we have a long, long way to go before the problem of racial justice is solved in our nation.
And he wrote, think about how many years ago he wrote that. And God,
and it's alive like it's today.
Right.
That's when you know you're dealing with a prophet, though, right?
Yeah. Sees.
Yeah.
It's good. That's good.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
No?
All right.
No, not necessarily. I just, glad to be a part, glad that we can do this.
I'm glad you were here too. All right. Well, in that case, I will read the benediction.
May the Lord watch. No, it's
This benediction is from Pearly Victorious, which was written by our ancestor, Ossie Davis.
Let's go.
Tonight, my friends, I find being Black a thing of beauty, a joy, a strength, a secret cup of gladness, a native land in neither time nor place, a native land in every Negro face. Be loyal to yourselves, your skins, your hair, your lips, your southern speech, our laughing kindness, our Negro kingdoms, vast as any other. Accept in fullness the sweetness of your Blackness, not wishing to be red, nor white, nor yellow, nor any other race or face but this. Farewell, my deep Africanic brothers and sisters. Be brave. Keep freedom in the family. Do what you can for the white folks. And write me in care of the post office. Now, may the Constitution of the United States go with you. The Declaration of Independence stand by you. The Bill of Rights protect you. And the State Commission against Declaration of Independence keep the eyes of the law upon you henceforth, now, and forever. Amen.
Wow.
Boom.
Bang.
I love that.
I just dropped the mic.
Right.
Drop it.
Love that.
All right. That is the benediction by our father, Ossie Davis.
Davis.
All right. Thank you, good people. Enjoy the rest of your Kwanzaa. Be safe. Have a wonderful new year. And hopefully I'll see you again next Wednesday. Same place, but 10 o'clock. But 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. All right. And Sonny has something coming up tomorrow too, right? Y'all, you might want to invite them to do it to that, and then I'll show.
Yeah, we're doing just a New Year's catch up type of thing. I could put I don't even have a link yet, but can I get out? I got everybody emails, but Damany, so I can get his email from you. And I think how many people left on this line record. There's 6 more people watching. So if you're interested, just throw your stuff in the comments right now, and I'll email you that link.
Awesome.
Danielle, I don't know if I got your email address. I might be wrong.
It's been I've had the same phone number and email for like 20 years, so you have it somewhere.
Okay. Whatever I got for you is the thing.
Somewhere.
Okay.
If not, she got it.
Yeah, I got it. Love y'all. Love y'all to life.
I think Damany is saying something. He might be on mute.
Yeah, I didn't figure out how to put my stuff in the comments. So if you want to put it out there, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Well,
I see it in the I see it in the chat.
You see it?
It's in the chat. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, and I put out there the transcript of the speech. So
yes. So I'll just do a mass email then. I'll make sure that you get that. I'll make sure I send you baby's recipe, and I'll send you the benediction.
Yeah, I like the benediction. I was gonna say, yeah, that's dope. And thanks for the plug. Yeah, thanks for the plug on the store. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. All right.
All right, guys.
Oh wow, JL. Good night, baby. She putting her Gmail in there. She said justlenorris@gmail.com. So I'll make sure we get you, baby. I'll make sure we get you. Love you too, and I'll see you all soon.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Peace.